Yo, everybody, what's going on? It's Brock. Before we get this thing started, I just wanted to give you guys a heads up as to who was on the podcast today. Today we have Benjamin Sweet, also known AKA as Panjo. He was the singer of many metal bands here in South Florida, but has an incredible story about overcoming medical adversity via diabetes and all the problems that come with that, whether it be amputation or the transplants he had, and even a year down the road after the transplants, some things kind of trying to reject at that point. I think that you guys are going to learn a lot, and not for nothing, this is a long one, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. Anyways, let's get it going. What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 4. I didn't think I'd last this long. Holy shit. Welcome to episode number 4 of the broadcast. And today, or tonight, shall I say, I have a very special guest. Somebody, I've known for about 20 years almost at this point. Not at this point, no, it's definitely been 20 years, but we've actually never had time to ever hang out. And without further ado, should I say Benjamin or should I say Panjo?
It's whatever you. I allow people that know me as Panjo to continue calling me Panjo.
Is it like that? That's the old you. So
yeah, I'd say so. I like Eli.
Yeah. That's a
like Eli. He calls me Panjo.
Yeah.
I want to punch him a little. I met him as Benjamin Sweet.
Yeah.
And you better keep it that way. But
no,
you know what? Part of the clique now.
I will call you Benjamin.
No,
I'll call you.
It's whatever makes you happy.
No. Honestly, there is no metal because half the time I've known you, you've been Panjo. Half the time I've known you.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, about maybe 10 years of Panjo and then another 10 of Benjamin.
Yeah.
So, but no, I whatever is more comfortable. But I do get a little. I get a little pissy when Eli calls me it.
Yeah.
Just to be an asshole to him because I love him.
I met you 20 years ago.
Yeah.
In a small club in Davie.
Club Q.
Yeah, Club Q. It is at the time it was like central to everything.
Yeah, it was a staple for the local scene, especially the hardcore scene.
Yeah.
I mean,
but that place was like a mishmash. Like,
yeah.
It would be, your band Simplekill would be playing.
With new metal, very new metal.
Yeah, with a slight harder edge to it. My band was just basic rock at the time.
I think it was metalcore before they had a name of it.
Yeah,
for sure. It was very metal oriented.
And then, like right before all of us really played a lot, there was Newfound Glory there all the time.
Poison the Well,
Glassjaw.
Yes. It had remarkable shows there.
Yeah.
I mean, especially for like the underground bands that eventually became more mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
The local shows there were legendary. Unfortunately, closed down.
I mean, in a way, because it's still around in the exact same configuration it used to be. The only difference is where the pit was.
Yeah.
It's just pool tables now. The stage is still there and everything.
Well, I remember they did redo it and they moved things around. And I remember they moved the stage on the opposite direction and I believe it was a little taller. Again, before it was just a step.
Yeah, well, there was a couple of years where they moved the stage to each side of the.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
A bunch of times.
Yes.
But that place could hold like 200 people, 300 people easily.
It was. I mean, for me growing up, it was the place to be. It didn't matter whether there was a show there or not.
Yeah.
I mean, either way.
You showed up there most of the time. There was a show.
Yeah, 9 out of 10, there was going to be a show. And yeah, you just go there to hang out. And it was a community.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It really was. At the time, there was a lot of bands. It was mainly like you guys. It was a band at the time called Insidious.
Fuck.
I mean, there was a lot.
It Rains for Caleb. No, that was Orlando.
Yeah, that was Orlando.
Fuck. There's another band with a. Oh my god.
Well, I mean, at that time, in the whole general scene, there was a Pygmy. There was Twice the Sun,
Twice the Song,
Dr. Ganjo's Bazooka Circus, who was the intro to this fucking show.
Yes.
And it was crazy down here.
Yeah, it was. It was really, and even though I did, we did an okay amount of touring, but I never saw the local scene like Florida when it was at its prime.
It was just different.
I mean, bands were able to have shows and sell out and make more money than these national acts to come down.
Yeah, You guys, for example, if you sold out Club Q, they made a very fair deal with you, which was you never knew how much money you were getting. If you brought 50 people, you might wind up with $600.
Yep.
If you brought 200 people, you might wind up with $200.
Yep.
You didn't know, but you were getting paid.
Yeah. So from my knowledge, and again, I was never the business guy.
Yeah.
I was always the dude that
Showed
played
up,
the
did the
show, played the show, interacted with them as much as possible, went straight to merch, tried to sell myself, sell my band, flirted with whoever I had to, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Get my name out there. So I was never aware unless we had a great sale at merch. I knew how much money was coming in, but a lot of the time, like we never got paid by the Culture Room, even though we would sell it out. We sold it out once.
I mean, Culture Room, that was a hard one to care about the money you were making, because you were making $1 per person that walked in the door.
Dude, the amount of money that we get stiffed.
Yeah, you got fucked out of.
Yeah. But listen, it was we didn't care.
No, because you loved playing on that stage of the Culture Room.
It was the vibe. It was the stage. It was the people.
Yeah.
The Greg, the owner,
I don't know if he still owns it.
No, he does.
Oh, he does? Yeah, he's the man.
He looks exactly the same.
Well,
identical.
That's what vampires do.
Yeah, exactly. So for those who aren't familiar with Greg from the Culture Room, as long as we've known him, which I've been going there for shows for 20 years, right? Yeah. As long as I've known you, this man, the owner, wears sunglasses,
like jet black sunglasses.
I
in
don't
a
know
dark nightclub,
and he has the same shirt, the same jeans, black
on
shirt,
black on black on black,
and he's just a vampire that just roams around. And I may have spoken to him twice, and I played his club. You
shake his hand. That was it. He'd go to the lighting booth,
and I had a big crush on his wife, who worked the bar.
Yeah.
And Sharon, she's gorgeous, and she was always so nice to me. I just wanted to kiss her. But
because she was feeding us drinks while we were 15.
Yeah, right. I remember she gave me a shot of tequila, and I couldn't turn it down because I had a crush on her. And it's Greg's wife, so I gotta be smart. And I took it, and I immediately just spit it outside because her the bar is close to the exit door, so I immediately spit it out. But no, the Culture Room was fantastic.
Pivotal. Between the Culture Room and Club Q, you were able to literally play every weekend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And especially with Florida being so damn big.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Just.
And it almost segregated itself. Like West Palm Beach shows didn't really mix with Broward shows, which didn't mix with Miami shows.
Yep. And there was What was really interesting was the type of people that come out. It was always like I knew that Miami crowd's gonna be
rough,
super rough, because it's fucking Miami, man.
Yeah.
There's too many options down there.
I mean, you had so in Miami, you had Churchill's, you had Cafe Cristal, you had which we had played with you at Cafe Cristal.
Yeah, that was like the hub.
And then there was like just clubs that would spring up out of nowhere.
And and the obviously. Speaking of Miami, I never got to play Tobacco Road.
Yeah, neither did I.
Yeah, and I know that was a
historical place.
Yeah. See, luckily Churchill's still there. I know
they're still kicking.
I mean, I know they've been having problems, but luckily it's still there. But yeah, Churchill's is where Marilyn Manson was playing all the time. And I was actually just speaking with my buddy about this is what bands that really made it out of here. That was local. And I think we were talking about Nonpoint at one point, but I was like, well, Nonpoint, they made it out. Like they played,
but they still live here and they still represent.
No, a lot of them moved around. Yeah, but they always use Florida as their home.
Little known fact, the person that says you all ready to record is the drummer of Dr. Ganjo's, but the person that says okay is Andy from Nonpoint.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Andy's
at
the one.
Beeler. That was recorded at Beeler.
So we Simplekill, the band I was in, we did a CD there. We demoed one track because we were letting Nonpoint use our warehouse to store all their shit when they're home from tour. So we were like, all right, well, we're gonna do it for free. They were like, all right, we'll come down to our studio, Bueller Brothers Studio, with their manager and I believe their label at one point.
Yeah.
And they said, hey, we'll give you a free recording. And they listened to one recording that we did. They thought they were gonna sign us to the management, and then Roadrunner got interested, and they're like, hey, we want to continue record. So we recorded, I think it was a 4 or 5 song EP.
Yeah.
What was
Was
it called?
that
A Novel in May.
Yeah, I was gonna say, was that a Novel in May?
Yeah, so bad. It's only been like 15 years.
Yeah, it is.
So, so we recorded an album May there. But it was interesting is that we were only supposed to do like 1 or 2 songs, and they wanted us to do the whole EP there. And then they shopped it to Roadrunner. And Roadrunner was like, "Fuck yeah, this is really good, but we want to hear like some of your new stuff because that was our older stuff." And we recorded one song with Bueller's, but it wasn't with Andy. So on the Novel in May was with Andy, and I think he did a really good job.
He did
capturing something that we weren't aware of.
Yeah,
how to capture. He was really a good
energy.
Yes.
Because the album before that, you guys had Sheer Confidence. Was that?
Yes.
That lacked the energy.
It was so we that was our first time, the first CD full length, right?
Yeah.
It was our first, my first time recording a
studio.
Yeah. And we were like, I was definitely 15. And everyone
was it that long? Were you 15 when that came out?
15 years old, bro. 15. I mean, top 16. But I know everybody else was a year or two older than me.
Yeah.
I was always the youngin. So we actually Herman, who our old manager,
I remember Herman.
He passed away.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Something with his liver gave out. It was I thought it was COVID. It was maybe 3 or 4 months ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
shit.
Really really sad. But so he actually fronted us like $5,000. He was like, I'll pay for it. We went through a guy. I never heard of this band. It was a one-hit wonder called Saigon Kick.
Oh yeah. That dude's a big. Isn't that a Bueller brother?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. He's one of the Bueller. He's Jason, I think.
Yes. Yeah. So it was, which is funny because years later we worked with the Bueller brothers. They were in a band together, right? Yeah. So they were in a band together, and we were recording with one of the members, and we did pre-production, which we had no idea what that was. And so we had a producer come in there, tear down all our songs, like took out 2 verses, left 1 verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, intro. That's it. So just simplified it.
Dude, it's crazy how much those guys will tear your stuff apart, because we sent our stuff for Second Sin into Sean Grove. He was the producer of Seven Dust's album for Next and another one of their albums. And bro, what he did was we sent him the album that we recorded down here with Jeff.
Yeah.
And he literally tore it apart track by track and would just rearrange the parts. Yep. And then it would stop and he would say, hey, and then this part should be like this.
Yeah.
And we would just email back and forth like that.
It's heartbreaking.
It is.
It's like,
I thought I was creative.
And because you sit in a room, because the way we would write, a lot of times it would just be us in a room.
Yeah.
And Jeff would have a riff, right? He would start playing the riff, and John will start drumming something, and then Matt will follow John, and then I'll just start freestyling or whatever, and create that, and then we will argue about something, and and what I learned from being in a band is that if you don't have anything, don't ever complain about something unless you have some sort of solution.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time,
don't be like, yeah, that just doesn't sound good.
No. Well, so this is my first band. I'm super comfortable with these guys, and I didn't know anything about music, and so Jeff would come up with a riff. I'm like, man, that's lame. He's like, how do you want the sound? I'm like, I don't know, it sucks.
Just not that way.
Yeah. So eventually, it got to a point where we're always like, dude, if we don't have anything constructive to say, just don't fucking say it. If you don't like, say, hey, I don't like it, but I have nothing to add to it.
I don't know how to change it.
Right. So maybe we can work on it, but hey, this is how I'm feeling about it. And there's a lot of songs that we released that I may have not liked, but everybody else liked. You know what I mean? Which is a good compromise.
Yes.
So, after a while, at first the pre-production, it's tough because you're so used to it, and you get in a room with these guys and you work on it, and you love one part, and then someone comes in and is like, yeah, that part sucks.
That,
Take
like,
it out.
Yeah, like, and it's a producer. It's the person that's like, fuck, this guy knows
Right.
what he's talking
This,
about.
exactly. This guy has connections. He's gonna help us out. Blah blah blah. We're young. We're like,
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. We are so excited. So, but listen, there's a lot of things that he did that really did help it though.
Yeah.
There was one song, Miles Away.
Mhm.
Miles Away.
Miles
I
Away.
think it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's the one you guys, I think, released on Zeta first.
yeah. It
Yeah.
was pop punk as fuck. Even though I hate it. I never liked pop punk.
Yeah.
Even though I never had a problem with pop punk. Like
It just
Newfound
wasn't
Glory.
your
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. I never bought a pop punk CD, but if there's Newfound Glory show at the Colchrum,
Yeah.
or Club Q, that year, I'll definitely gonna go. But yeah. So we eventually just were like, you know what, like there's songs on here that aren't. We liked it one way, but yes, this new way is organized. It's like having a run-on sentence.
Yeah.
And once you shorten it up, kind of fix the grammar,
Mhm.
now you have a whole song or a whole sentence where it makes sense from start to finish.
But I mean, there are certain instances like you guys. Sheer Confidence was a where you could tell you guys started listening to outside influences.
Yeah.
So because you had a song that I've harped on from the first fucking day because I heard the original version of it, and that's the one you played with Kazaa.
Yes.
And
Funny
the original version of that
Yes.
song was I was even playing it back to back today at work, and I was just like, it's like they took the soul out of
Yes.
what was that song.
Yep. It was lifeless. 100%. 100%.
And it's like they took out parts that made it connect better.
Yes. See. Again, I think that I guess trained ear.
Yeah.
For that genre of music, or at least what you're trying to get across,
Was too different.
Too different.
Yeah.
He wanted polished. He wanted something to sound good. But all the bands I listen to, singer sings out of key.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like Deftones. Chino from the Deftones, Daryl from Glassjaw,
Mhm.
singer of Taking Back Sunday. Those kind of bands I loved at the time, where it was just like they didn't sound like everybody, and
Yeah.
they were off key, and that's what made it unique. So, and I do take back what I said earlier. The first time I recorded was Paper Plate and Kaza at Port St. Lucie with a band called Pine Like Water. They had a studio in Port St. Lucie, and Rains for Caleb, another local band.
Did you record before that because you had the song with the djembe at the beginning? That was like your first.
Oh my god, dude! See, this is what I'm talking about, man.
That was the
years.
first
Yes.
song that
Okay.
I actually remember hearing of you guys
Thank
recorded.
you, dude. I'm such a klutz.
But it was that and Paper Plate.
Yes, you're absolutely right. So it was we did we did so our first show ever, we played a battle of the bands.
Yeah.
And the winner
That's a good way to come out. Shit,
yeah.
right out the barrel.
Even though it's a listen, any local bands listening in, don't play battle of the bands, because you sell your tickets.
Or if you do it for a show.
Yes.
That's it. That's the only reason
if
you're
it's
playing.
a showcase show, I mean, either way, dude, like they're making so much fucking money
Yeah,
off you.
it's not even funny.
They give you tickets to sell $10 a pop.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see any of it
No,
unless
because who the fuck are you at that point?
you're working for them.
Yeah.
And that's that. So so the contest was the winner of the battle of the bands gets something excellent. I forgot.
Yeah.
But the winner of the person that sells someone X amount of tickets will get free recording. Like a 2-song demo.
Which was more worth it than probably whatever the grand
100%,
prize was.
100%. So luckily our guitarist was fucking loaded.
Yeah.
So he bought
Yeah, I
all the
remember him.
tickets. Yep. And he bought all the tickets, so we did win that. But the first place won. The band that won the first place was an already established local band, and
So
has
it
been in
didn't
the scene. It was 16 Gauge.
Oh, wow.
So here you have all these local bands. Some of them, like us,
Yeah.
first time playing show. We're playing against 16 Gauge. So and that was a huge local band back in the day. So either way, they won it. We got to record. So the first 2 songs we did record was "Save Me," and "Resurrect."
Resurrect, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then we did "Cause" and "Paper Plate."
Yep.
Those 2 were in Port St. Lucie. So yeah.
And those hung out. Resurrect didn't hang out with you till the end, but the rest of them did.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, so "Resurrect" was the djembe song.
Yeah.
And essentially that was created because John want to be Brandon Boyd. He looks identical like him. Fucking had the dreadlocks like him.
Yes, he did.
Had the djembe hanging super low, his shirt off, like scumbag. But I loved it. But yeah, so we had that song and we put the djembe in the just for John,
just for the
John.
beginning.
Yeah. So it was a good song. But the recording process has always been except. I guess when it comes to our style of music is that it has so much energy.
Yeah.
How you can get that down on record?
Yeah, how do you get that across? Because it's especially even harder when you record traditionally, when it's like the drummer, the bassist, the guitarist to go in there. Like that is really hard to capture the energy. And I was even telling, I don't know if you remember him, a guy named Eric, who always used to hang around with us, and like he was always friends with everybody.
I didn't see a picture,
but I was sitting at his house, and I think Stain came on the radio, and like I couldn't hear the song as one thing. I heard a drummer in a room. The bassist then came in and laid down the tracks. That's how I was hearing it. And I was just like, "Oh my god, this is such a gross song."
Yeah. It's like it's cringy. Right?
Yeah, there's no energy there.
Yeah. So I think especially like I said with our type of music, you have to try to recreate it in the studio.
The live energy, because you guys had a hell of a live show.
Yeah, and that was our biggest problem was we had a great live show, and the one thing I prided ourselves on was the live show.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to give people their money worth, and I was pretty psychotic back then. So like I can do dumb, crazy shit, and people are like, "Oh, yeah, this is badass." So, but when you're once you become an adult, you're like, "Oh fuck,
that was stupid."
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Thank God cell phone cameras weren't around there.
God, yeah, I would have been fucked. But yeah, like I think one of the things that we got to do with Andy in Beeler Brothers when he was producing our EP or whatever, he was like, gives me a mic, has everyone go in the room, everyone jams out. I'm outside the room because they're recording drums, so everyone's just plugged in, and I'm outside the room screaming my head off, and like you actually can hear it. You can feel
the energy of that album specifically.
That album is, I think, hands down my favorite from them because of that.
Yeah.
Or them. Simplekill. because
those guys that I was.
because we were able to create that live energy, and also the set and setting, man. The vibe was there.
Yeah, they had a room with like a PlayStation 2 in it. Dude, I remember that studio very well.
So I think what really changed for Simplekill and why that album was the way it was after we recorded the first song, the Beeler Brothers sat us down, and we were having troubles with that band member that was pretty financially floating
well
us.
Off.
Yeah.
Yes.
They were just like, dude, you gotta kick him out. And they set us down to listen. We have Roadrunner Records that's interested. We're interested in signing you. These are things that you need to do. And they were like, and this is the first time I get that like ego of being like, oh shit, I am a singer, and this is real. The guys, the Beeler Brothers look at me and they're like, you are this band.
Yeah,
you are this band. I'm like, no,
you're Alpha and Omega.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, I want it with us 5, and we can do all it. But they're like, you are this band, and you guys need to kick out that guy, and you'll go somewhere. And we're like, oh shit. And that was the first time I realized like, oh, so
this is a business.
Yeah. And that was my problem. Then the entire time that I was in the band was, this is for expression. Yeah. And it was even selfish to the point where I wasn't writing to make people feel better. I was writing to make myself feel better. What made me feel better was people were listening to it. And that was my main point.
And they got something out of it.
Exactly. And that's what I wanted, because when I started listening to music and wanted to create music, it was only because I was listening to bands that were talking about shit that I can relate to, and I got really sad and depressed. And I was like, oh, I need to write down.
Angsty, let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, I used to steal like lyrics and write them down and show my mom, be like, that was me. So, wow. Matchbox 20 lyrics. It's just like, I want to push you around. Well, I will. I will.
Except for it was much angrier.
Yeah. I was like, I have no idea what this means. But no, it was like that was originally why I got into it. And then once they were like, yeah, dude, think about it.
That's a big. That hurts, man. When you get that gut check that you're like, oh, I forgot about the business part of music business.
Yeah.
Like we got a contract from a guy named John Tovar, and he was the guy who discovered Manson. He was his.
That name sounded super familiar.
Well, if you ever read Manson's book, A Long Hard Road Out of Hell,
I definitely have read that.
His manager that had narcolepsy, that's who it was.
Okay, that's ringing a bell.
He would listen to your music, and you know these A&R guys, it's like 6 seconds and they're out. But it was 6 seconds, and he was asleep. So, like, and he'd wake up and be like, yeah, it was good, man. I was like, how do you know? Like, you don't care at all about this. You just want to be able to sell this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's what's so fascinating about the music. Yeah, gross, for sure, gross. But that's like, you know, I think the downfall of the music industry was Napster.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, I hate to say it, but, you know, Lars was right.
100%.
100%. Like, and, you know, if you look at a lot of interviews that Metallica has done since then, Lars is just like, look, we had rap artists, we had country artists, we had everybody saying, go, guys, go. And then Metallica was like, come join us. And they're like, no, thank you.
Yep. And so, but I what I think was needed was this wrench in the music industry. So then everyone's like, oh, wait, so
people are getting fucked on the regular here.
So hard. And luckily we're at a point now where it's like, you can do your own thing.
Yeah.
You have all the power. Yes, it's a lot easier to get a label, to be able to get to distribution.
But when people hear $1 million deals, they think they just give you $1 million and go
off.
No, it's all you pay that back.
Yep. I remember when I first learned that, when they were like we were talking deals and shit, they're like talking about like, oh, you can possibly get this up front. I'm like, oh, like I can pay for my health insurance now. Like I'm good to go, dude. Like I get a new MacBook Pro. I'm golden, bro. But no, they're like, no, because that advance you're getting is gonna go to the music video, the record, the your touring, your merch, all that shit,
and you're paying us back
everything. The only money you're making is the money you make off merch, and we're still taking a cut off that. And they take last time I heard, again, I haven't been in
the world in a long time.
Right. So what I've heard so far is that
the 360 deals.
Yes, exactly. I didn't know that.
That started happening at the end of Second Sin. Wow. So like when we started getting talked to by labels, they were like, yeah, because they used to leave your merchandise alone. They used to be like, yeah, just live off your merch, however much you can sell there.
Exactly.
And now they're like, we're not making as much off the album sales, so we'll take some of that merch too.
It's fucked, man. Yeah. Like, and that literally, that's the only way they survive. Like, my buddy, I don't know if you ever met him. His name was Jason Valherdy. He was a photographer back in. This was long. This is like Darwin's Waiting Room wasn't even signed yet. Yeah, it was a long time ago. And he was the one that did Simpлекill's first promo pics. And but eventually he became first he was a merch guy, and he became a tour manager, and he tours with like. He did U2, yeah.
Oh, like massive bands.
Yeah, he does Coachella every year. He does he was on the Warped Tour when Warped Tour was going on for like 5 years straight. Like, yeah, he's a tour dog.
Yeah.
And he was taking pictures and eventually became, you know, this touring dude. And the bands he's touring with, that has toured with, is insane. Again, U2. He did yeah, but all that shit. But he was from here too, and he was in the local scene and shit. He was a street team member. Do you remember street teams?
Yes.
I totally forget.
You could not put one together right now if you wanted to.
No.
It's hard to get people to repost your shit online.
Dude,
like
you cannot. I remember I used to go to the malls, hand out.
Street teams was everything,
dude.
Because I remember your guys' street team was fucking huge.
You know what? And blows my mind. I had no idea how big it was until after the fact. Like, what? And after the band was broken up, and I went on tour with a band called Remembering Never. They're a hardcore band.
You did.
So I went on tour with them, and I was just the dude. Like, I was like, I weigh 120 pounds.
I just want to get out of here. You guys all kind of did that, though. You went with Remember Never. Jeff went with Nonpoint, and he was with Nonpoint and Seven Dust for a little bit on that tour.
Yes. By the way, Dr. John Sperry got kicked off that tour.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
It's something scummy. I don't remember what it was, but it's scummy. So if anybody wants any dirt on Dr. Jonathan Sperry, shoot me an email at bsweets010@gmail.com. I got tons of dirt.
Now, there's something I've always kind of wondered. Okay, so the difference between Sheer Confidence and then you went to Novel in May.
Yeah.
The biggest difference, and you know what it is you were still the lead singer.
Yeah.
But John became like the hook guy.
Yeah. So this is where, and this is directly correlated with the business side.
Yeah.
Is I was a screamer.
Yeah.
Singing was
that was
my
your
forte.
whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I was I was told by the singer of Darwin's Waiting Room. I forgot his name.
The guy with the dreads.
No, not Grim.
Grim. Yeah, I couldn't think of his name.
Yeah, that was Grim.
I know who you're talking about. The skinny dude.
Skinny blonde guy
Yeah.
who's always looks like he's on ass or Molly.
Heroin? Oh.
Yeah, he's just always like heroin too. He's just always like out there. So he's trying to show me something on a keyboard, like how to like hold a tune essentially.
Yeah.
And he was like, "You're tone deaf." I was like, "What?" And this is after getting singing lessons from Elias.
Yeah.
And I was paying him $60 every singing lesson, and he it was,
Elias got a hell of a voice too.
yeah, he does, dude. Dude, I wasn't surprised. I was surprised with his cover of Bob Marley.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was I Shot the Who shot you?
I
Someone
Shot
shot
the
the sheriff. Yes, some motherfucker
Somebody
shot the sheriff.
Somewhere.
But no, so they told me I was tone deaf. But either way, I kept singing.
Yeah.
But then, and this was really where it was like, oh fuck, I have to take one for the team. This is a business. I did put my ego aside.
Yeah.
I was doing so. When you record screams and you're singing too, you do the screams first and then you're just singing. So I did all my screams, and it was time to come and do the singing. And John was going to do the backing.
Yeah.
So I think I was either late or they got there early, started fucking around with shit. And John did the backings before I did the leads.
Yeah.
And they just started fucking around, started sounding good. So they did some more put some effects on it, put some auto-tune on it, layered it, did harmonize. I had no idea how to harmonize.
Yeah.
And it sounded incredible. It sounded like a national band.
Yeah.
It sounded like a band that was signed and been touring, and it was going to take us to the next level. My ego was crushed.
That's what I always thought. Like,
Dude.
I was just like, man, how is he doing with this?
It destroyed me. And of course, when you're, I mean, let's just think about it. We have an album called Sheer Confidence.
Yep.
I wrote all the lyrics, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't have much of a so them to tell me that, I'm like, fuck, man, like there goes more of the confidence. But I knew it was gonna be the best thing.
Yeah.
And luckily they gave me a track that I was able to sing on slightly. Was My Reply, and that was one of my favorite songs. But I knew for the whole and what I wanted to do for career, my passion, that was the best thing.
Yeah.
And John just sounded fucking good.
Yeah, he definitely
Pissed me off how good he sounded. But unfortunately, I think after John recorded that, and then we did a couple of home demos. Once we got back in the studio and he sang, it seemed like maybe the pressure was on, but the life of his voice was gone.
What it probably was is that he was just so surprised that he was like, oh, wow, this is sounding good.
Man,
and then when you're not in that same setting, because I'm assuming you recorded at Jeff's place at the time.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, this doesn't have the same thing to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, so the recording of his vocals for the first time in the site, and I walked in on it, was at Beeler Brothers.
Yeah.
So the pressure was like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
Like here's like, a couple of $1 million, like maybe not $1 million, but a fairly expensive,
like really high end studio.
really high end, really everything up to date. It was a great fucking studio. And here we are saying like, hey, yeah, this sounds really good, doesn't it? You probably shouldn't sing anymore. Okay, fine. It was just like fine.
It was a mixture of just you weren't doing the main hook singing.
Yeah.
And then in a way, I'm assuming it took a shot to your ego when everybody was like, this sounds really good.
Oh, of course.
So because almost in your mind, it's got to be like, well, fuck that old stuff.
Of
like,
course.
this is it,
Dude, and I still fought even after we were like, oh no, John will be, we'll push the Atreyu sort of thing. We'll have the drummer sing the screamer scream, like that will be that thing. And I still was pushing out every track, every song we would record after that CD, and he was a singer, I would sing.
Yeah.
And I would, and hopefully it was good enough to keep it. And there was a few songs that were like, oh no, the demo's good, we're gonna release it. And they were like, oh, let's re-record it at a better studio. And so I was like, okay, I get it, man, I get it. And again, my main goal in this was to hopefully do what I love by making money. And if that means I have to suck on my ego and make sure, listen, if it sounded okay, it would have been
that would have been a different thing,
a totally different thing, but it sounded incredible.
Yeah.
And I wanted to keep that, and I wanted us to succeed. So whatever I had to do, I had to do. So it was what it was, but definitely it shattered me. It shattered but luckily I had people around me to kind of be like, listen, dude, John can do his thing. Like, you can practice. It's up to you now.
You had to figure out what to kind of do, because before you're so busy with lyrics and like on stage and stuff like that. And then there's just choruses where you're just like, I guess I'll repeat the fourth phrase he said.
yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, I give myself a lot of responsibility. Is I didn't reach out to him, and I think because
you were a little resentful.
I was butthurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to be crude about it, I was definitely butthurt. So I didn't want to sit down with him and write and that kind of stuff. So the next CD after the novel in May was Burn the Silence, and that was took forever to record because we were recording it, so there was no time crunch. Right? It was just. Whenever we felt like it was ready, and Jeff was a perfectionist. And
well, it's funny because when you guys did the novel in May, our world started to collide even more at that time, because we gave Jeff, I was like, Jeff, dude, you got to use our graphic design guy. And he's the one who designed all your album covers from then on.
Oh, that's
Danny.
Bro, that's right.
Yeah.
Danny. He's still so good.
Yeah, he really is.
Good. He's so good.
He really is. But that's because then we started the family productions thing, and we were like, "Yo,
dude, you taking me back.
Let's just play here under this banner. You know, literally nobody pitches in any money. It's just a banner that we can all play under, and people will be like, oh shit, it's family shows and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately at that point the scene was kind of like on fire in a bad way.
Yeah.
You know, you had places like The Scene in Pompano that was a great idea on paper.
So good. Oh, and what was it Talent Farm too?
Talent Farm,
I think they're still around too.
Yeah, no, they're not. They're gone. Yeah, and which was right down the road here.
Oh, that's right. We are way out
west. Way out west, yeah. And they, the problem with them is it was like we called it rock and roll daycare because you weren't allowed to do anything. There was no drinking. There was no nothing. And when you played in there, yes, they would live stream on the web, which was really cool, but it was in a room that had no acoustics.
Dude, I was just gonna say, I have so many burnt DVDs of Talent Farm shows, and not in my band. Like I think I may have like 2 performances from 2 different bands from there, but I have other. Dude, the sound is so shit.
It was like, so bad.
No, and what I loved is like this is like a perfect something. You've heard of Chain Reaction, right?
Yeah.
So you know the Chain Reaction show. They record every single show there.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. It's well preserved. It stayed one area. Like it's great. Yeah. If they were able to do something like that,
that would have been awesome.
Amazing. But this is the worst sounding shit.
The max capacity of like 60.
Dude. I mean, I can't stand shows like that, but I also love shows like that.
Yes.
Where like
if the crowd's right, but people that aren't allowed to not even smoke cigarettes.
Dude.
Like that killed.
I smoked a cigarette in front of the door, and because they never had bouncers. It was essentially kids. Yeah. It was just kids putting on the show, right? So like the I guess the tough kid was like, "Yo, if you don't fucking put that out, I'm gonna punch you in your face." I'm like,
it's
I'm gonna go over here.
It's like that at the time you could have like big dicked them. You could have been like, dude, we are bringing you all the money, right?
Yeah, dude. And that was my hindsight is 2020, right? So like, I was the lead singer of a band, but I was raised by a single mother. My sister and my mom raised me, so like that whole like rock and roll lifestyle was never my deal. So like I mean, when you're a lead singer of a band, I'm not to blow my horn, but women throw themselves at you, and I was just.
I saw that, and even when you were like 14.
Yeah, like dude, I was signing breasts when I was 14. It was fucking weird at Kelsey Club, like some big old titties, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I was never able to take it. I just didn't have the capacity to be able to take advantage of that. And then looking back now, I'm like, wow. Yeah, like the Me Too movement was. Thank God I didn't.
You would have been totally.
Dude, stories I have of like Yeah, I got some shit on some people. So anyone tries to fuck me, man, I got them. But
he just brings out a VHS. He's like, once I get this uploaded to DVD, you're
fucked. Pictures, VHS, bro. Come on. This is before digital cameras. These are Polaroids, bro.
Yeah, exactly. You got the hard copy.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, man, it was. But I always found that since I was so disconnected from that ego and stuff, and kept me grounded, and also I think having diabetes and have to be responsible with that kept me where it's like, you're not going to do a fuck ton of drugs. You're not going to drink. You're not going to do all this. It kept me.
That kept
safe.
you center line.
Absolutely. And luckily, it kept me. I was able to observe everybody else and be like, I see where this is going. I see.
I know the darkness there.
I see that your girlfriend's at every practice, and then when you play out of town, you have a couple others that come out. Yeah. Yep. And then they call and he's like, oh yeah, he's setting up the drums or breaking down or whatever. Yeah. So once I saw that kind of lifestyle, I was like, yeah, that's not my deal. And so, but again, it kept me safe. Yeah. And I think, I'm very lucky, but, a lot of these guys like to take advantage of the situation, which I don't hate on them for.
No.
When
especially at that age.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Like there was a point where there was a show, there used to be a club at the Hard Rock called, Legends Theater. Yes. And it was the coolest, smallest, but biggest club you could possibly play.
The lighting was incredible.
Yeah.
The sound was really good too. The location was excellent.
It was like an 800-person theater.
Yeah.
It was double-decker level.
I remember, dude, I totally remember. We played there. We went on tour, and we brought a band down with us who we were playing up the East Coast with.
Yep.
We went on down there, and I remember you in the front.
Yeah.
Because there was not many people.
Yeah, there's videos that exist of that because we played that show.
That's right, dude. I can't remember shit, but yes, that's right. You did play.
Yeah.
You know what I remember about that show was feeling like I was actually a band.
Yeah.
Like touring, that was part of it, but loading in and loading out at the Hard Rock.
Yeah. It doesn't get any better.
No,
you got this back entrance where there's a ramp and like,
dude, and it was the coolest. It was the coolest feeling, and you're like, oh, okay, so this is what it feels.
This
like
is the good feeling.
Yeah, and then I went on tour with Jeff's band at the time. The opening, maybe.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about them.
So I had to be around 2012, 2011, and we were supporting Nonpoint, and but when I saw from them was like, oh, so this is how bands really are on the tour.
Yeah.
Like very secluded. The only time they come out is when it's time to play.
And
like
meet and greets, and that's really it.
And luckily, of Nonpoint, Ken is the only guy that came and actually watched us almost every night, and he was a super great guy. And unfortunately, he's out of the band. So is Andy. But I think Rob came by and saw us a little too. But Rob. Actually, I had a falling out with Rob drummer from Nonpoint because I said the N-word on a post, but with a soft A. It wasn't a hard R, right?
Yeah.
It was an ER, and he apparently couldn't. He's like, hey man, I can't follow you if you.
Hold on, yeah, but that actually kind of annoys me because
so annoys me.
Our drummer, when he recorded at Beeler, Rob left his carpet there, his rug for his drums, and he left his pedals, and Andy was like, dude, just use Rob's stuff. It's fine.
Yeah.
And so Rob came by while they were recording.
Oh, no.
And that was an issue. And Scott goes up to Rob. He's like, hey, man, thank you for, not being upset about this. And blah, blah, blah. He goes, fag, and just walks out of the room. I was just like, oh.
Okay. Rob is... So... let me give you an example of Rob. So I said that posted something. I said NIGGA, and again, this had to be 8 years ago, 9 years ago, some stupid like that. So I would never post anything like that ever.
Yeah.
Now,
never
mind.
Yeah, I was gonna say you look like you had a thought. Like, maybe I might.
It depends. But anyway, so so he wrote like, you shouldn't say that word, blah blah blah, and I was like, and I said, and my response was, all right, yeah, NIGGA, and so he unfollowed me, blocked me from everywhere. I haven't spoken to him since. But I hear a lot of stories, and it is what it is. He is who he is, and my only complaint with that tour was we were opening.
Yeah.
Right. We were their main support, except when there was local bands on the bill.
They'd cut them in front of you?
We would open the show. And being the band called the opening and opening the show is never a good look.
No.
Never a good look.
The local is supposed to be the opener.
Exactly. So, and unfortunately, I don't think we even got paid for those shows either. Yeah, it was a rough deal. Or maybe they did. Listen, I didn't get a dime.
Yeah, you didn't get anything.
Jeff was like, "Hey man, I need a replacement for the singer for this tour. It's gonna be in a Winnebago." I'm like, "Winnebago?
All right, I'm in.
I'm in. Man, I want to relive road rules."
But you know what it is? It's like I don't think people understand how hard that life is. Honestly, like we didn't do it hard. We did it. I think the most we ever did was like 4 days in a row.
Yeah, man.
But at the end of that 4 days, we played at the Irish pub that was at the Hard Rock. I forgot what that place was called.
Yes, Murphy's.
Murphy's Law. Yes. And we were rough at the end of that 4 days.
Yeah.
Like it was to the point I was like, I gotta play these stupid songs.
Yeah, and you realize that like you're like, oh fuck, now I get why people have texts.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I always like talk shit. I was like, man, why is somebody setting all this shit up? And you're like, playing for almost a full year, right? And not taking breaks, maybe a week off here, a month off here, and like. Yeah, you need to rest, man. Yeah. Like it's serious. And I never took care of my throat.
I never took care of my back or anything like that.
Oh, dude.
And right now, like when I had last surgery I went through, they did an X-ray on my back, and they're like, "Your lower back is fucked, dude."
I'm afraid, dude. Your head your neck. The X-ray of your neck must be shattered.
Well, it's weird. I thought it would be, but it's only my lower back. Because I did the whole Mike Mushak from Stain thing.
Yes, yeah, of course, dude. Actually, I have a picture of myself with a bass when I was pretending to play bass, and I had to be by 13 or 14. And I have in the same stance, super low, and my back is like, I have a fractured hip, I have 2 broken bones, knuckles, I split open my head a couple of times, chipped off a couple of teeth. Dude, fuck me, man.
Well, see, the thing about the thing about your story, I think, is the most incredible. Is usually somebody would be in a band like Simplekill, and then that would just kind of be the end of the story after it ended. Yeah. But that's literally where everything starts.
Yeah. So Simplekill happened, and that was so I was 14. The way I got even introduced. The bassist was named Tony Licata at the time. Mm-hmm. He's had almost everybody in the local scene in that band at the time. Yeah. And I wasn't part of any sort of local scene. I was in a chat room on a Korn AOL chat room. Yeah. And I did the whole ASL.
Yeah, I was going to say ASL.
Yeah, I IM'd her and ASL'd her, and we started talking. And she was like, I have a boyfriend. And I'm like, cool. What's his name? And we started talking, and I was saying how I was listening to a band called Nothing Face.
Oh, God, I remember them.
Yeah, we got to play with them at Ovation.
Oh, wow.
But at the time, they only had the side room open. They know the
small room.
Yeah, so we played there with Nothing Face. But so I was like practicing Nothing Face and Korn and all that, Slipknot too.
Yeah.
And he was just like, I'm gonna throw away my boyfriend. And we were on the phone. I'll throw away my boyfriend. You can sing to him. So I sang some like Nothing Face out of a little guitar amp.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, man, come try out. So I tried out, and I got the gig. I never got paid for this fucking dance. I got the spot, and so that's how it started. And so eventually we kicked out Tony. Jeff came in. So we have originally it was 2 guitarists. A drummer, a bassist, a singer, and that was the band. Yeah. And then eventually dwindled down to
4 people.
Yep. And surprisingly, Honestly, I didn't think Jeff would be able to handle rhythm and lead.
Yeah.
But he made it work.
Yeah,
and
because
really
he moved a lot with in terms of instrumentaling.
Introducing an extra amp on the other side of the stage, that was a big thing too, and give it a fuller sound. It was a good move. And you know, unfortunately, financially, it was a big hit, but you know, we picked it up. But so after about, so I think I left the band when I was 22, or the band split up.
Yeah.
Essentially, they want. We had Jeff, who is touring with Nonpoint every so often, and he just couldn't stand touring. He was like, dude, it's too much. So he didn't like the touring life. John was going to school to become a psychologist. He was getting his doctorate and all that good stuff. Matt was very impartial. Matt is the bassist. John's
Matt
the
would have
drummer.
done whatever.
Matt was like, no, like, whatever. Yeah, exactly. And that's just his attitude.
Yeah.
He just, you know, kind of go with the flow guy. And me, I was like, no, fuck you guys. Like, this is my life. Either we put in 100% and
or
I'm not,
zero,
exactly. And that's just my personality. I'm either 0% or 100%. I'm usually never in between. So once they were like, yeah, we'll make it a hobby, I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
But, so after that, so a lot of depression.
Well, the machine that was Simplekill couldn't be a hobby.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't recognize how far of a reach till ages later, and I'm in New Jersey with a band I'm just hanging out with on tour with them, and the guy comes up to me. He's like, "Oh, you look familiar." And I told him the band I was in. He's like, "Yeah, I've heard of you guys. We listened to you all the time back in the day." It's like, "Fuck me, like really?"
Yeah.
So yeah, I never realized it, but yeah, they just weren't into touring, and I wasn't one to half-ass anything. So I was like, "Fuck it." So once that ended, I eventually got offered a position as a singer-ish for a band called Theory Disorder.
Yeah.
And that was an already established band that had an incredible singer.
Yeah, I remember that.
Incredible. His name was Ricky Coleman. And he just had the greatest voice. And it was so easy for him. It wasn't even trying. You know what I mean? Like, he was talented as fuck. And they were more of the Breaking Benjamin, I'd say.
Yeah, I would say so.
Chevelle.
I would say so.
And which, you know, was always, it's cool. You know, it's the hard rock sound. And I thought that maybe if I joined, I can bring
a little bit more of an edge to it.
Exactly. And, you know, at the end of the day, what they decided to do, because I don't think I was really involved in the process. I think I was just like, I really want to make music, and I'll make music with anybody. They wanted me as a hype man, an image, and a name. Yeah,
because your name was
Panjo,
recognizable.
Yeah, Panjo from Simplekill.
Yeah, is
gonna draw people, and even though I was aware of that, I was Panjo from Simplekill, but I was like, at least I'm bringing something to the table. So we actually got offered to, our manager was a tour bus driver that had connections with these bands that he driven around, and Spineshank at the time was having a resurgence with their success on the Mayhem tour with the singer's band Silence Civilian. So he's had some like pretty good success with that band. So they decided to reunite and go on tour. Our manager was their bus driver.
Yeah,
got on it, and so we went on tour for about a month with them. Unfortunately, I wasn't on any of the songs. Wasn't on the CD.
So when they listened to the album and then you're just there, you're like, who the fuck is this guy?
Exactly. So I think what they decided to do, I'm not even sure if it made it on the album, but they recorded their stuff with Jeff.
Yeah.
At Simplekill Studios. After we were done recording, I don't know if they mastered it or whatever, but it was completely finished, and they were like, "Hey, there's this one song we want you to do," and I don't even think I was in the band yet. I think they just wanted me to feature on it.
Yeah, just drop some.
I did it, and it was just literally putting an and a wave, or where the Pro Tools file is, but it's a complete song, and just screamed over it. Yeah, I could have done it in my room. So it was what it was. But the moment after the tour and playing all these shows and really trying to get the band name out, and having moderate success, nothing really astronomical. slowly kind of been like, all right, well, I see where I'm here, and it's not really going anywhere, and people aren't really as into it. And that's when I started. The drummer actually started playing for a band called Kezia.
Yeah.
And they had a singer. Eventually, that singer dipped out, and while Aaron, the drummer of Theory of Disorder, was drumming for Kezia, he decided to become the drummer of Kezia and Theory of Disorder. And then they asked me to try out, and I did, and they were like, "You're in." So I started playing with Kezia more than Theory of Disorder. Me and Aaron both. And eventually, Theory of Disorder kind of went away.
Yeah.
And then Kezia took over. So during Kezia, I for me as an artist, I don't even like to call myself a musician because I'll never consider myself a musician, but as someone that likes to create, a creative, which I can't stand, but okay, I'll be a creative. So yeah, as a creative person, it was I'd say probably the most enjoyable and exploratory, as music wise and lyrically and yeah, it was an exciting sound. It wasn't anything new. It was just new for me to sink my teeth.
Which is all you really needed at that point. All I needed.
Unfortunately, because they already had the album done, should have prefaced this. So the Kezia already had an album done. They just didn't get to track all the vocals because they lost their singer.
Yeah.
So I went in, tracked all the vocals, but they liked the patterns and the melodies of what they had before. So they just wanted me to kind of, change up the lyrics, maybe change things here and there. But essentially, it was I didn't have much creative control.
You're basically plug and play.
Yep. I just had to kind of, if he said she, I'm going to say her, or, along those lines.
You basically just, your biggest hope would have been, all right, when we get to the next album, then I get to do my own thing.
Which was how I felt about Theory of Disorder, but we never got there. And the one time they had the ability to record a song, they recorded an acoustic song. I was like, okay, then I really see where I'm at here.
Just tell me to go fuck myself.
Yeah, exactly. and again, like, being someone who just wants to express, I was like, whatever. I just want to be able to do what I need to do.
Yeah.
So luckily with Kezia, things really kind of went smoothly, and everything was really working out well. But again, this is later on in life. So I think I joined that band when I was like 27.
Yeah. So like life already started intervening.
Yeah. Yep. And again, which you haven't got to kind of speak to yet, but I've had diabetes since I was 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, 8, and it's been uncontrolled. So going through all that, hospital stays, all these things in between,
which you would have never known. Like when I first met you, I would have never guessed that in a million years.
That's what I really took pride in myself was the fact that like I went through a lot of shit and nobody could tell unless after my amputation I had a boot on at a show. So like what's going on? But like, and I've gone that plenty of times, and again, like that is the best compliment somebody can give me is like, hey man, I had no idea you're going through that shit. And I'm like, good.
Was it right after Kezia where the health started taking the downturn? Or was it during?
So one of the reasons why Simplekill broke up, or at least didn't think they'd be able to be a touring band, and I'm not sure if everybody felt this way. I have to assume that everybody did because John spoke up and was like, hey, listen, like we're worried about your health.
Yeah.
If we were going on a tour, like, would you even be able to make it? And I was, I think I was like 118. I weighed, like 118. I was a stick. I was dehydrated.
You were really small at that point.
A lot of people thought I was on like heroin or something, and I wouldn't blame them. I had this video on YouTube of me like, just talking. I'm like, why is my face so sunken in?
Yeah.
Not to say that my face isn't sunken in now, but why is it even worse?
Well, especially considering from where you started when I first met you.
Yeah, man.
You were a little chunky when I first met you.
I was chunky, dude. I was when I was the top weight. I was 9 years old. I was 200 and something pounds.
Holy shit!
Big boy.
Yeah, I don't even think I was 200 pounds at 9.
Dude, I was a fast eating motherfucker. I loved eating. Eating was emotional and emotional escape. Also, like, it also gave me happiness and all that good stuff. So, So that was one of the reasons why Simplekill were like, we are not gonna be able to really go that far because of your health. And I was just like, dude, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
Because you didn't really know
No, not at
level.
all, man. I mean, we would go on tour, and I'd be eating. Only thing I would eat is power bars, peanut butter power bars. I would go to Walmart, spend $10 on like 6
Your
packs.
sugar going.
Dude, yep, and that's it was unmanaged, uncontrolled diabetes. So, I had my issues, but luckily I was young, so
your body was able to bounce back.
It just bounced right back, and so these issues at the time weren't affecting me. I may get what I always found, or at least what I again took pride in, is I never missed a show because I was sick.
Yeah,
there's only one show is because I had a spinal tap, which is metal as fuck, right? I was like, man, I had a spinal tap, and so you're supposed to lay completely flat the entire time. I think I got up after the spinal tap by accident, not thinking, and fucked me up. I was in bed for 2 weeks, unable to move. So that was the only show that I missed. But yeah, so there were it was kind of getting in the way every once in a while.
Yeah.
But by the time I was in theory disorder, I wasn't really dealing with that. I had neuropathy from the diabetes. I had gastro problems.
For the people that don't know what neuropathy is.
Okay, so neuropathy is essentially the nerves either shooting off or they're just damaged, essentially. Yeah. So you can just be sitting here and your feet will feel like they're on fire, or there's pins and needles.
It sends like a signal that's not accurate.
Exactly, which is actually it's good and bad. So I don't have much feeling in my feet.
Yeah.
So when I'm walking around outside, I don't have shoes on or socks on, and it's Florida heat. I'm
cooking your bottom of your foot.
I don't realize that the bottom of my feet are over easy right now. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's interesting, but also like I have a cat, and he loves to just jump on you and not to hurt you, just wants to play with you, and he just jumps on my legs, and I just look down and I see blood everywhere, and I'm like, oh yeah.
I don't feel that.
Yeah, whoops. But yeah, man. So neuropathy is something I was dealing with at the time, and that was just in my hands and feet, so I'd fall a lot and stuff like that. But nothing that kind of there was tons of hospital stays here and there, but I always bounced back without a doubt. I had a low blood sugar attack. Blood sugar went down to 26.
Wow.
Woke up in a hospital, went into like a coma. I was there for maybe 6-7 hours. I checked out and went to Houston's.
Do they just like load you up with sugar?
Yeah,
and
they
things
give
like
they gave me a shot of glucose and something else, and then that brings it up. But then they put you on an IV just to drip the sugar in you to your stable. But I remember, so this is where it gets interesting, is that I remember being in that coma and hearing everything.
So it was like you were present.
I was
you
present.
Just couldn't do a damn thing about it.
I listened to everybody. I heard the conversation. I heard what the doctor was saying, how how my blood sugar dropped, all this stuff. But I was there, but I wasn't there.
Yeah.
It's the strangest thing. But yeah, so I always bounced back, and unfortunately later in life, either it got more severe or I didn't bounce back as fast.
How many times did you go? Did you go into a coma more than once?
Yeah, so I went to coma three times. 3 times.
3 times.
Yeah.
And which one was the worst?
The worst was I guess you can take it on different levels. Which is the most embarrassing would be when I was living with my old guitarist, Trevor, and I slept. One of my favorite pairs of underwear were Star Wars.
Yeah.
They were like, tighty whities or whitey tighties or whatever. But they're black, and there was Star Wars, had Darth Vader all over it, whatever. But for whatever reason, the ball area was so big, like too big. So like sometimes your balls would hang out or whatever. So I went to bed. I was wearing those underwears, and then I guess my blood sugar dropped in my sleep, and I got up, and like I guess he heard me get up and like fall, and he found me in the room. And when I came to, the paramedics were there, and my balls were just laying out, bro. Like, and no concern or anything. I just and so I'm sitting there on my in my computer chair, and just they're shooting me up with insulin, and I'm drinking a soda and everything all the time. And then I look down, I see my balls, and Trevor looks at me, he's like, oh, wait, was it Trevor? No, it wasn't Trevor who said this. It was the paramedic. He was like, your balls have been out this entire time. He said testicles. Your testicles have been out this entire time. and I was half there. I was
Yeah.
like, all I remember saying is good. Why I would say good, I don't know why, but I said good. So that was probably the most embarrassing, but I would say the most severe.
Yeah.
Was when and this is just from diabetic. I've been like I had a stroke and they had to keep me in an induced coma, but the diabetic one was I was at my friend's house. I was sleeping over her house. I had a stomach virus.
Yeah.
And I was throwing up and shitting all the time. But I had just eaten, and I started feeling woozy or whatever. But when I checked my blood sugar, it was like 3 something. And I'm like, fuck, this is really bad. So let me take a shit ton of insulin. Diabetic I wouldn't take the recommended dose. I would just take, all right.
You wait until it got really dangerous, and then you just slam it down.
I would just, and it wasn't like I would take a certain amount. I was like, okay, well, if it's 300 to 400, I would take 30 units. So my dumbass takes 30 units, something like that. And then 15, 20 minutes later, I start throwing up and shitting. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm sick. I need to go to bed. So I decided to lay down, go to bed. And in my sleep is everything that was in me that insulin's supposed to be covering wasn't there. So my blood sugar dropped to 26. Paramedics came. I was foaming at the mouth. I was shaking. I was having like a real like seizure.
Yeah.
So I had to be strapped into a gurney, taken to the hospital. And apparently I was just flailing everywhere. And they thought I was actually having like a heart attack or something way more severe than just hypoglycemia. But once they checked my blood sugar and saw it was, either 26 or lower, they knew exactly what was going on. So once that took it, but I remember coming out of it, that was the first time that I was like, this is what mortality is. That's when I realized that it can be taken away. Even though I had a lot other scares.
Yeah, because you said you had a stroke.
Yeah, I know. Well, the stroke was after.
Oh, the stroke was after. Okay.
Yeah. But that was really when I was like, oh, this can be taken away. Just snap of a finger, and knowing the way it happened and how it was very irresponsible, and it was just very like, oh no, I do this all the time. I'm gonna be fine. It really changed something in me.
Yeah.
So but from then on, my perception on death and everything absolutely changed. I think for the better, and more of a I guess realistic or spiritual. I guess depending on who you talk to, what's more realistic or spiritual,
Yeah.
But for me at least, it felt like it connected. It made a lot more sense once I came out of that. And I felt like it was. I don't think you just have one experience and you're just like, oh, I'm not afraid of dying. It's a gradual thing, and I think that was one of the many that was like, there's way more to existence than just this physical. I hate when people say this, but I think it's a perfect description than just being a meat suit.
Yeah.
It's very common, but I really find a lot of comfort in that, to know that we really, for this level of existence, we're just a meat suit.
But so my question is, at that point when you had gone through that, were you like, this is controllable by me, like I can get this under control?
So, and that's a great question. The way I used my diabetes was a way of control.
Yeah.
So I can control my health.
Yeah.
As far as the complications from diabetes, the only thing I had control of was my diabetes. Even if it was out of control, I'm the one who's controlling it. So if I didn't want to take my insulin,
you made that decision to let it go crazy.
And then eventually, and this kind of plays in with the bands, is so when I joined the band, like you said, I was chunky. I was a chunkier dude.
Yeah.
And it was a healthy weight.
Yeah.
I was a healthy fucking weight. And then once I started having high blood sugar and not taking my insulin, I realized I started losing weight.
Yep.
So essentially what happens is the cells that are looking for the insulin, it's not there. So what does it start eating on? It starts eating on your fat.
Yeah.
But then starts doing your muscle.
Yeah.
And when you go too long, there's
why left.
I have zero muscle. Zip. I'm negative muscles. You know what I mean? Even with my dick, that's a negative. You know what I mean? I'm Jewish, so it's very, very small. But like, but what the way I think it was kind of nurtured and is that once I started losing the weight is when I started getting banned.
Yeah.
And that's when girls started to talk to me. And I was like, oh, so it's not because I'm in the band.
It's positive reinforcement.
Exactly. So
I'm doing the right thing by, essentially wasting away.
Right. So, you can't call it bulimia. You can't call it anorexia. They have a word for it called diabulimia, which is hilarious.
Which is you controlling the weight loss via.
Right. You not taking your insulin, raising up your blood sugar, so you just urinate all your all the calories. That's where it comes out of, right? So literally, during the summer, ants come out in Florida.
Yeah.
So I would pee, and if I get a little pee on the bowl, outside the bowl, on the floor or whatever, come back a half an hour later, not even half an hour, 15 minutes later, there's tons of ants.
Because of all the sugar.
All the sugar in the piss, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, that's why I think it was Tracy Morgan. He was talking about the sugar pee.
Yeah.
He said something about sugar pee. I'm like, I get it.
I know that. I
Straight
know
up
that.
diabetes, bro. So I'll give you a glass right now. But yeah, but that I was what I took from that was I was using that as a reason to not take care of myself. I was losing weight. I was getting girls.
What better positive reinforcement, especially at that age?
Yeah, dude. It was adolescence.
I'm getting ass out of this,
dude.
Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't like, and I was too much of a prude, and I had a small dick. I have a small dick, so I'm not.
You had.
yeah. I had one. I gave it away. But no, I have a small dick, so I was like, I can't stunt with this. You know what I mean? So that's why Jeff was there. He has a monster.
Yeah.
He has a horse cock. So, so I was never able to really take advantage of that. But yeah, it was fucked up. It totally fucked my mind, right? So eventually that was why. And even after dialysis or during dialysis, I still wasn't taking care of myself.
That's crazy though, because usually when you're on dialysis, that's usually like you're here for life now.
Yeah. So
I mean, that was always the joke about Bin Laden.
Yes,
like
yeah.
How are you not finding a 6.5 foot Arab on dialysis?
Exactly. Like, how is that possible? Listen, dude, dialysis fucks you up.
Does it?
After dialysis, I would have to go home. This is where medical marijuana was a game changer. This is when I really started smoking for medical reasons.
Yeah.
So what happens? So they're taking a cup of blood every hour, purifying and putting.
Essentially, they're being your kidney.
It's a mechanical kidney outside, external mechanical kidney.
Yeah,
it's like an external hard drive. That's right there, man. It's just like plug in. That's literally they plug you up and you fucking sit there for 3.5 hours, 3 days a week. And I was the type of person that I when you do dialysis, it's the most depressing thing you can fucking imagine.
And for you, like you were just saying, it's taking your control away.
It was, you wake. I would have mine at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So I made every 3 days a week. I wouldn't sleep at all.
Yeah.
So at 5:30, I get there. I smoke a little. Go inside. Hook me up. Get set up. I put on music or whatever, and I would just go to bed. I'd wake up. And I'd be in the most excruciating pain because what they're doing is they're not only taking the blood, but the water in you is now being sucked out too.
Oh wow!
So you're waking up with these cramps that are unimaginable.
You can't control.
You just can't. And so they'll give you water and they'll take your blood, but the process of going in there, getting on the scale, laying down or sitting down in the recliner, laying back, having them stick 2 needles in you. You can't move your hand at all. Not only that. At the time, I believe I started dialysis when I was 26 or 7, which is fairly
really
fucking young. And I'm in there with 70s, 80s. I think the youngest person was maybe in their late 40s.
Yeah.
And they're all really bad off.
Yeah.
Someone passed away while I was getting dialysis.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And I'll never forget them walking there with the fucking, the bag and
loading them up.
And
there's nothing you can do. You're getting it, so you can't get up and be like, I'm going to get the fuck away from this dead
just
body.
Kicking it. He's just kicking it, man. And you're watching that happen. And listen, the physical thing was very, very, very tough. But the mentality, the mental stress that it puts on you is like nothing that I've ever experienced. To this day, I've never experienced anything as
I'm only 4 episodes into this whole thing.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the part that everybody struggles with. No matter what their issue is the physical. Yeah, it sucks, but most people can kind of tough through a pain.
Yeah.
It's the mental aspect. It's just like, I'm not in control of this.
Nope. I think as we find comfort in being able to control what we can.
Yeah.
And when not only your body, but your surroundings, you have no control over.
Yeah.
Where are you able to find that control? And for me, at least, it was not taking care of my diabetes, even while being on dialysis.
Yeah. So you still weren't, even when you were going in it 3 times a week, you still were just like, fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, and again, like I was never, I was never like a sugar eater or whatever, or hopped up on carbs or whatever.
But everything has sugar in it.
Everything is. So you.
It's okay.
So you want to figure, you need to balance it out. But I think my mentality was, well, seems like the end to me. I honestly 110% I didn't think I'd make it to 30. 27 or 28 on dialysis, neuropathy. I was having problems peeing. There was no foods, because when you have to stay away from foods, and they're like, listen, protein's the best thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a big meat eater, but
Yeah.
I would, right? I would.
If
I
you
would
had
try.
to.
Yeah. So everything changed. The foods that I ate, I wasn't able to eat anymore. Foods that, and I have gastroparesis. So the foods that actually were good for me was not.
You have a hard time to digest.
So with gastroparesis, in my case, it takes an hour for you to digest. It takes me 3 to 4 hours. So
Holy crap.
yeah. So so all these complications compounded on each other, where it was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm not even gonna. It's too much. I've been trying for too long in my life.
Yeah.
I just want to slowly wither away and hopefully try to make the best of it.
Yeah.
But again, they when they call and say, hey, we have a transplant, that's when the guilt comes in, where you're like, wow, I have a second chance, and I didn't really.
I can do this thing.
I totally can, and that. I never believed in miracles at all. And and the moment you have a miracle happen to you, you're like, there.
And it's essentially what it is, because it's the gift of life.
It is. They handed me a second chance, and you don't realize how. I mean, especially in my case, you don't get these chances in life.
No, like
20 years of diabetes.
the organs, like especially uncontrolled, like you willingly decided to. Usually, a doctor, like if it was a liver for an alcoholic, they'd be like, "No, dude, you need to control it for 6 months before we even put you on the wait list."
Exactly, and that's that's the problem. And I think they were looking at me like I was young, and they knew my issues. I think they got the full picture and understood, like, we get it.
Yeah.
We get why. I didn't say this before, but even the way I found out I had diabetes, my grandma, she had diabetes, and I never knew she had diabetes. I just knew she was a fucking bitch. when she would be like, I need my orange juice, she was so mean to my grandpa, and I was like, why is she such a bitch to him? But she would like go in the room and hide out. But yeah, and it turns out it was low blood sugar, because she was having a hypoglycemia. So. So my grandmother, she had an infection on her foot. I used to go to doctor's appointments with her. Eventually turned to gangrene, and she had to have her leg amputated.
Oh wow.
She was in her early 70s. Unfortunately, her body just couldn't handle it.
Yeah,
so
that's a lot to go through.
After they only took her up to the knee at first, and then it spread, so they had to take the whole leg. And then while she was healing from that, her kidney started to go, and then so she was put on dialysis, and in her.
It's basically everything started shutting down slowly.
Started to follow along. So as she was on dialysis, and they were like, I mean, in her will, it says, I don't want to be kept alive on a machine. So, So before she got on dialysis, the doctor said, like, hey, you should probably get your kids checked. Sometimes it's genetic. My sister was adopted, had her checked anyways. So I got it. So I was in a hospital maybe half an hour away, south or north, while she was in the hospital being put on dialysis and passing away from it.
Oh, wow.
So once I got out of the hospital, maybe a week later, I was already at her funeral.
Yeah.
So here I am and the minute I found out I was diabetic, I was like, am I going to die? Here I'm
Well, and how old were you, said?
I was 8.
So you were 8, and, if you were a little older, that would have probably been a better sign to be like, you should control this because this is the repercussions of that.
Yep.
But you're 8. You don't put this together.
Yeah. And again, like even my life back then was out of control. My father wasn't there. My mother was a single mother. working 2 jobs. She's a school teacher and she would tutor. She had to keep up with the bills. So
Yeah,
I was out of control then, and I would try to take control of other things. And at first, controlling the diabetes was my main focus. That's what I wanted to do, even especially after seeing my grandmother pass away from it. But you know, after a while, especially at that age and the times, because you know, by the time you're 13 years old, you're going through, you know, puberty. You're resentful. You don't want
angsty.
Authority. What's authority?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't even try authority.
You're getting into music.
Yeah,
and at the
absolutely.
music at the time was really like anti everything that wasn't you.
And a lot of complaining, man.
Yeah.
A lot of complaining. I listen to fucking these bands. I'm like, man, I'm depressed listening to this shit. But it was my jam, bro. It was my fucking
this
jam.
This relates to me.
Dude. But it was a lot of complaining. But yeah, man, I think that that at the time, especially with puberty and stuff, and just being like, you know, I'm gonna go against the grain, and then going through once I turned 15, and then still developing, and then get an issue with the insulin, the eating disorder, diabulimia,
but at the time you had your control, but the control was the music and the audience.
Exactly. And that's really, I think, what gave me the confidence. If I wasn't in bands, I would have zero confidence, because just the way that I was brought up, my self-esteem, all that stuff. But by putting myself out there and really, because you don't realize what a risk it is to write some really emotional shit at the time, and then create it with these guys, and then not only that, they have to sing along or read along or whatever, and then you need to present this to a group of people.
You're like, I hope you like this.
Yeah, here you go, guys. Don't. And then
you don't like it.
Yeah, and not only did you put your heart, sweat, and tears into the song, but now you're doing the performance, and and I'm trying to go a little above and beyond, so their money's worth, and so you have to. It's probably, I think, starting a band, being in a band, and following it through, and I think it has taught things in my life that I've never been able to learn, such as working with somebody, not just complaining about something, having something to add on to it, or being in. I only have a sister. These was my brothers, bro. I never understood, but these are bros. I mean, I haven't seen Matt in maybe over a year.
But
John,
if you saw him, you'd be like, yo,
it's
man.
like yesterday, bro.
Yeah.
I'm getting a cat from Jeff in like a week and a half. I haven't seen Jeff in over a year, and I saw him like 2 days ago because he was giving away cats. And it's like, oh yeah, we are brothers.
We did this. There's like a whole catalog of things.
I do, and you can't have these memories with anybody else. And I'll be 100% honest, and Jeff has said this too. We probably would have never been friends if we weren't in a band together.
100%.
It's so fun. And I don't think maybe Matt, but John, I don't think him and I would have gotten along.
No, he wouldn't have been the person you pick out of a crowd and been like,
exactly.
We're gonna go to war together.
Yep. And that's what's so fascinating about I don't have a very good relationship with my sister, and my mother completely disowned her brother. So my entire life, and my grandparents passed away on both sides very early.
So your family's super small.
Very small. Me, my sister, and my mom, right?
Yeah.
And my sister has 2 kids, but I don't have a relationship with her, so it doesn't feel like she's there anyway. But I was able to get these relationships that I think you need to develop.
You do.
With those band guys, and I really think that not only creating something and you know, following it through, but putting your heart and soul into it, and putting fucking hard work, man.
And that somebody understood, because like my family's great. My family's always been great to me.
Of course.
But they didn't understand the music part of things. So when I formed this group, especially the last one, Seconds In, our drummer's father said something very poignant. He's like, man, I've been in the military. None of you guys have been in the military. He's like, but the way you guys act with each other is like you guys have gone to war.
I didn't think about it like that.
He's like, I've never seen it outside of the military.
Yeah. See, if I knew about the bond that I eventually got with these guys, and then not only that, but bonds with you, and with
because you bond immediately with other musicians unless they're a dick to you.
Dude,
you know?
it's so cool how, like, back in the day, you know, when you're younger, it's like, hey, what band do you like? Korn. You know what? we're probably gonna get along
right there,
great.
man.
We are
Yeah.
eye to eye, bro. We're soulmates. But now, like you don't meet people. Like, what kind of band do you like? Like, Korn. It's like, yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's literally what it is.
Yeah. It was something about the time, or maybe it's the age, or whatever the case may be. It was so I was able to relate with people and click with them immediately. But the bond that you gain from just the scene and the community, and again, most of the people that I fucked with back then, I still occasionally talk to.
Yeah.
And it's just and they see you from your highs and lows, and vice versa. I see them do it, and it's
and you can't bullshit them.
No,
because they know.
Yeah,
they've seen you at your worst and they've seen you at your best.
Yep, and they've seen you when you don't realize they're looking, and you've seen them when they don't realize you're looking. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things that you go through with these members, and especially when you're touring or doing or small things like sharing a bed.
Yeah.
Things
Changes
like,
everything,
bro. So I have this thing when I
or sharing a van.
Yeah. Oh God, dude. The smells. I was like, I always find it a little cringy when people like bring up like typical tour life things, but the smells of vans.
It's like a locker room with no shower,
dude. And then what we decided to do, because Jeff is a fucking porn addict, we decided to take because we got boxes of porn for free. Somebody just gave us boxes of porn.
I feel like that happens. Anytime you go on the road, there's always that person who's like, here, man.
Yeah, just hands you porn. We got handed porn, and what we decided to do was to do the inside of the trailer all in porn wallpaper. So we just have all, and it was used porn too, like because it was like wet too. So it was like, we're hoping it's rain, right? We're just hoping it got soaked or something like that. But we just put it all over the trailer and stuff inside the trailer. So whenever you opened up to unload, you see, cocks and balls.
The funniest thing is that's one of my fondest memories of you. We were playing the Rock the Planet show, and we pulled up with that massive trailer we just spent all that money on.
Bro. I think that thing. Actually, I saw a trailer that had a dressing room. I thought that was one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Massive,
but it was just funny because I remember being in the back there, and we had I think we had a sofa back there that night. We had a bunch of, and you're like, Jesus fucking Christ, like why didn't we get like this,
dude? It's lush as fuck. Like fuck. Fuck sleeping in your van, sleep in the trailer, man. So awesome. Actually, so the worst thing about touring that I found out was not having a trailer and having to have loading in, loading out your luggage. We would take the luggage, unload it, load in the gear, put the luggage back in, hopefully find a place to stay where we can drop off our clothes or just keep it at the club. And then we would load the luggage back in, or load the gear back in, and then the luggage, and we'd have to do it every single fucking night
by yourselves.
Oh, and unfortunately, when you're playing local shows, you can say, "Oh, I'm the singer," but when you're on tour, you're like, "Oh."
They're like, "Yeah, we don't give a fuck.
I'm a member now." Listen, I actually, so I went even to the extreme, so I didn't have to do anything for loading. I bought a box. And it was a small box, but it looked like a road case, right? And I just put a single mic. You just move
it around with you?
I just put a single mic and maybe a cord, if I remembered.
This is mine.
Yeah. I was like, I'm good. I got my gear. You guys take care of it. But eventually, I decided to do it. But man, the connections that you make really, like, if I would have known that I made these bond connections, these kind of connections lifelong, I probably would have gone to the military.
Yeah.
I've thought about this.
Yeah, it's funny. I've thought about the same thing. I'm just like, I've thought about, man, if I would have just got my ass in shape when I was like 15, dude, I would have been gone,
dude, in a heartbeat. Because I think the best thing about not only being in a band, but doing something where you have other people relying on you.
Yeah.
That was very fundamental for me. And so when you have a band of brothers that's like, we need you to pull through so we can pull through with you, so we can all pull through.
Yeah,
that's a game changer. And if I was able to go back, I would immediately join the military. Free education.
Yeah. Free education. You see the world.
So there's actually shout out to Solventless Bake and Vape.
Yeah.
He is an extractor in California. He grows and extracts all solventless, obviously, but he went to the military, and he was just like, I did it because I can't stand America.
Yeah.
So many fuck people. I'm black, so obviously I have things against me.
Yeah.
Number one, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get what I can from the country that brought me here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what I do, and now I'm in the legal weed industry making bank. I have great education. I worked in it's stupid.
It gives you an opportunity,
dude. I can't tell. So I'll say this: my 35-year-old buddy, who is a teacher, still is paying off student loans.
If he would have gone to the military, they wouldn't be alone about
Not a goddamn thing. And then you get experience at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Motherfucker. See,
and you get to do some pretty cool shit,
dude. It's all pluses, right? Except having to kill somebody, possibly.
Yeah,
but
possibly, or get killed yourself.
Right. I mean, that obviously, I would have gone into some sort of pussy field,
like logistics or something.
Yeah, exactly. Look, my dad, who's absolutely crazy. He would tell me these war stories. He was in like getting shot at and all this shit.
Yeah.
In was it
Vietnam?
No.
Korea?
It was the one during Bush Senior.
Oh, Desert Storm.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
He was in Desert Storm, blah, blah, blah. And I grew up thinking like he was this badass army dude.
Yeah.
My mom showed me a picture of
He was
him.
a chef.
Not even he's a janitor. He was a fucking janitor.
Like, dude, the high horse, you need to come off of it, brother.
I mean, again, he's crazy. So,
yeah.
But I was like, oh my, and I think that might have been why, like, when I was going to high school, they gave you the what's those classes called?
ASVAB, oh, the ROTC and shit like that.
Yeah. So when I was being offered, I was like, oh, fuck this shit. I was so against it,
but you didn't know you were forming your own thing,
dude. I didn't,
the same way.
Now I don't think, yes, dude. Your podcast is revolutionary, bro. Give me some fucking epiphanies here.
Well, I mean, it's a crazy thing. Like, even after I was done with music, like, I took it so offensively. I was like, fuck the brotherhood. Fuck everything. I'm going to go be a stand-up. So if anybody else, if anything fucks up, it's on me.
Yeah. So let me ask you this.
What's up?
After the band,
Mhm.
did you get resentful?
Yeah. Not even just that at them, because I felt like they weren't doing what I thought needed to be done.
Right.
But I didn't want to take the responsibility that I knew I wasn't doing what needed to be done.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'd blame everything else but me.
Yeah.
And then whenever I was on my own doing stand-up, I was just like, when I got up there, I was just like, this is going to be fucking easy. I get up there and I was just like, oh, it's just me. Like, if I hit the wrong note, I don't have other people covering my ass.
Dude, so whenever I watch stand-up, or any sort of performance when you're alone, I can't imagine it. I would not be able to do it. Listen, I can be a fucking nut. I can have the biggest ego. I can look like, so my manager told me every time before I went on stage, she goes, you have a big black cock. Keep saying that to yourself. You have a big black. And I'm telling you, I can't tell you how many times right before when you know that little waiting area by the culture room, you walk up the stairs.
Little stare up way.
Yep. I can't tell you how many times I was down there looking in the mirror saying, you got a big black fucking cock. Say it, Panjo. Say it. Big black fucking cock. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So that was the kind of like, confidence they kind of pushed you on. But oh god, I forgot I was going with that. But yeah, where was I going with that? Fuck me.
Well, you were saying that being up, like, whether it be just public speaking, you up on a stage by yourself.
Right. So I can tell myself how much of a big black cock I have, but if I don't have those 4 dudes behind me,
where if you fuck up, they got your back.
Yep, and I was gonna fuck up. I was gonna fuck up, and that's why, like, I was definitely lucky to have like solid musicians, because I practiced with musicians, so-called musicians, and like jammed with them, and I'm just like, oh wow,
it's a different thing. Yeah,
so lucky, and I think maybe it had something to do with meeting them when I was 14, turning 15.
You all were forming at the same time, musically.
Right. So it seemed like, I guess we just kind of, we evolved together, so it was easier to sit down and write. I really do believe that if we decided one day to be like, hey, you want to just write a song?
You could, easily.
Like riding a bike, man. It's just like riding a bike.
I mean, the Groovenicks did it.
Yeah, dude. and you know what, dude? Like, for Groovenicks being...
And they were all over the country.
Wait, did you ever see the Suicide City? I think it was. It was Carl's second band.
Oh, the one right after Groovenix when he moved up to New York?
Yes.
Yes, I heard them.
Yeah, I never listened to them, but I believe they had apparently still sell out shows in New York and stuff.
That's crazy.
And they're still doing, and the Groovenix, I think they do.
They do like a show a year.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
and I think I think they go somewhere else too. Maybe New York. I think their show sold out in New York.
That's possible.
And that's kind of like, I respect them so much for like keeping the name going and just.
Well, the Groovenix were already well established even when we started.
Yes, they were the band you wanted to open with.
Yeah,
you want to play Culture with them because they were gonna
pack the house unquestionably.
And like I give a lot of credit to Groovenix for helping Simplekill get to where we were. Or I give it more to Greg.
Yeah,
I don't give
exactly.
Yeah, definitely Greg. Greg was definitely like, you guys are bringing people in.
Well, I mean, yeah, you guys rode two big waves. Mm-hmm. You had the big wave of like the Groovenix, like that last thing of theirs.
We're heading out. We're about to go on tour.
Yep.
When Groovenix signed with Spitfire, Darwin's Waiting Room signed with
was it MCA with Nonpoint?
Was it Columbia?
I know
Nonpoint, I believe, started off with Geffen Records, and then Geffen Records.
No, because I thought they turned them to MCA.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Were they ever on Atlantic?
No. The first album was on MCA.
Which turns out, 20 years? 25 years? I think they're having like a statement.
Yes.
Statement.
Yes.
Or is it Development?
Statement. And then
Statement
Development.
was the first one.
And
second one. Yeah.
Development, they went to Beeler.
Yes. Dude, I think Development, I haven't listened to in ages, but I remember listening to that album from track 1 to last track, and it was a great album.
I remember talking to Andy about that because, like, commercially, I guess it didn't do very well. Mm-hmm. And he was like, dude, we were basically trying to write The Wall for our type of music.
Yeah. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I can kind of see that.
It was very artsy compared to what they normally do.
Yeah. Listen, I think that album was the only album where I was like, I'm going to give him so much credit. Like, everything else is just not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
And then I think they kind of went like...
Once they lost Andy and KB, that's where things went weird.
And I feel like they went like...
They tried to go real metal, and that's just not
their
bag.
Real metal, but like American metal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like we love...
Not quite Kid Rock, but
right. Like, we're going to make sure to have a lot of American flags and our whole like bullet with a name. Once they had the bullet with a name on it, which again was a hard-hitting track. Yeah. But it never... I feel like
that was the last CD I think Andy and KB were on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dude, that's... I always thought that they'd be the band to make it maybe not ridiculously successful, but once they got
here, like under like right where Seven Dust is.
Yes, exactly. Like they would definitely be co-headlining with Seven Dust, something like that.
Yeah.
They would say they're co-headlining, but Seven Dust would headline every night. But there's no switching with Seven Dust.
No.
But oh, by the way, their recent album.
That album is absolutely ridiculous.
I don't listen to new music, but. Yeah.
Is that really new music though? Like it's the band we've always loved.
Yeah, you're right. But even with what album was it? It was a couple of albums ago.
There's Kill the Flaw. There was
what was
All I See Is War.
What was the album before this one?
All I See Is War.
Could have been that one that I wasn't a fan of.
Yeah, they had some softer, like real soft tracks, like a majority of them.
Yeah, I mean, so whenever I think of Seven Dust, I think of watching Strangerland. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. They were on that.
So I rented the movie. Yeah, I rented the movie from Blockbuster, and after the movie, they had 2 music videos. Mm-hmm. One was Head PE.
Yep.
I think it was POS or TOS. I'm not sure. And then there was Bitch from Seven Dust, and that's when I was like, "Fuck!"
It's funny. I discovered them through the Mortal Kombat soundtrack. They're not called Seven Dust on that album. They're called Crawl Space.
Wait, you're talking about the original movie?
Yeah,
they're on.
Their name is Crawl Space.
Can you tell me how disappointed I am? I have the tape of Mortal Kombat 1, the original tape.
Yep.
I have in DVD, and then I bought it had the 1 and 2 and the Legendary, that series that came out, all on Blu-ray.
I'm sure it's on Spotify, that song from Crawl Space.
All right, I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to do some digging tonight. Dude, I never knew. I'm really disappointed in myself.
Yeah.
I find myself to be a mood.
And I think they did the whole like they were threatening to get sued because there was another band called Crawl Space.
Oh my
So they're like, all right, we'll change our name. Seven Dust.
Yeah, we're good. Wow, that's crazy. But yeah, so when I think of Seven Dust, I think of like bitch.
Yeah.
Like that's like, and then obviously
It's
like
almost like punk rock like I call them the Godfathers of Gent because they were very syncopated and pattern driven.
See that. Okay, so there was a lot of people that were before their times, and when they were out, I just couldn't follow along.
Yeah.
I was just like, I would try to bounce my head. I'm like, wait, this polyrhythms. My neck can't handle this. You know what I mean? Like this is what 4/4. Keep let's stick at 4/4,
well,
please.
come on, 2 and 4, 2 and 4.
right. Thank you. It's just like it was too much. But then now I'm listening to it, and I'm like, yeah, this was next level. This would have taken my musicianship to a whole nother level.
Yeah, if I would have just stuck with this.
Right. It wasn't clicking with me then, and now and then I tried to write for a Digent band, Entering the Crown.
Oh, they were searching for Josh's when Josh was with them. I know for a little bit.
Yeah. I practiced with them when Josh was there, and I just couldn't write anything. It was
you got to be a special type of thing to know that.
I really think that you have to either be either like a musicians, or like classically trained.
You almost have to just base it on the notes, like not even care about what the pattern is.
Yes.
You just hear the notes, just play the note on a piano, bing.
Right.
Bing.
See, that's not how my brain works.
No.
I've been
patterns.
I've been programmed this way. Yeah. You know what I mean? Especially coming from like I've never exactly
all that.
It's all rhythm based. Like it's very simple. So simple. So simple. And now the shit I'm listening to now is just it's everywhere. It's all over the place.
I remember there was a period, not to go back to the dark part of things.
No.
I remember, and I think you posted stuff on Facebook at the time when you had gotten an amputation.
Oh.
And then
you're talking about the psychosis?
Yeah, and then it literally felt like a month later you had gotten another one.
Yeah, so what happened was all right, so I'll address the actual amputation and then the psychosis from a lot of things, but so the amputation, I was going through I had neuropathy, right? Or I have neuropathy. And so again, you don't feel. Yeah. So there was a piece of glass on my floor. I stepped on it. Didn't know. Yeah. It was lodged in my foot for a little bit. I don't know how long. I mean, I eventually took it out, wrapped it up, cleaned it, whatever. And eventually the infection kept growing. And with infections, sometimes you can get some sort of psychosis. And so what I thought at the time was if I ignore it, I'll be able to heal it.
The control thing.
The control, exactly. I thought I can control it. Yeah. And it was to the point where it smelled like
death,
rotting flesh. Yeah. I took off.
You thought you can control it, and biology was like, "That's a cool thought,
dude." It was black.
Yeah,
it was black, and I was, and you can tell this is that there was something was wrong was because even when I had a blood blister on my toe. Yeah. Or on my finger or something like that. I went to the ER to make sure it wasn't gangrene. That was the type of person
because it's in your brain from when you were younger.
Yep, my grandmother died from it, so it can possibly happen to me, especially being uncontrolled. So,
but yet this is turning black.
I'm good. I'm all gravy. Let me take a Epsom salt bath. Yeah. I'll be fine. God. I'll be fine. Which apparently is not good.
Probably horrific.
It is. Yeah. So my doctor, doctor said that was the worst thing I could have done for it. So I went to the emergency room. Yeah. And they took my blood, saw that my levels were elevated, and I signed myself out. I didn't even let them look at my foot. I didn't even tell them about my foot.
The control.
Yep.
You had control over the situation.
Yep. And I thought that, hey, if positive thinking. Yeah. This is when I was super into The Secret. Yeah. All I had to do was positively think, and it'll heal itself. No.
That's not how biology works.
Not how it works. And also, the whole secret thing, that's one part of a list of things you have to do.
You actually had to work for it. You can't just sit there and go, I need this, I need this, I need this.
Yeah, because and later on, I figured out what you do is you think about it and you make a vision board,
but you never do anything.
What it's supposed to do is supposed to push you to be like, oh, there's the thing I want.
This thing's in front of my face. I have to keep working toward this.
And it may seem very mystic and beautiful when it happens, but no,
it literally comes down to hard work and discipline.
Yeah. And again, and that's where, and so after Oh, so yeah, let me get back to the.
Oh yeah, sorry, we got sidetracked.
That's all me, bro. I always sidetrack. I ignored it. I went home, and then one day I started throwing up, and I started seeing things, and I thought the world was ending.
Yeah.
And I thought if they took me to the hospital, the world was gonna end.
Yeah.
And so and this was, I believe, during summer, so everybody was going north. There was a bunch of traffic as I'm heading to the hospital, and I'm thinking that everyone's trying to escape Miami because the world's gonna end.
And you're headed straight into the death.
Right. So I get to the hospital. I'm losing my shit, and at one point, I'm like, I really need to smoke a cigarette. So I get up from the emergency room. I go outside to smoke a cigarette, and I start walking up the the garage. It's outdoor garage.
Yeah.
I'm on like 2 stories from the top of the floor, and I'm like, I'm gonna jump, just gonna jump. I don't want to deal with this. And my mom comes out of nowhere. She's like, "Hey Benji, the doctor's ready." And if my mom didn't come out there that moment, I would have jumped. I would have jumped in a heartbeat. So again, this is, I'm not religious or spiritual, whatever. I just think that the universe works and is a very.
The universe was like, hold on, man.
We live in a responsive universe, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that there's synchronicities that happen that are meant to be, and you can ignore them or you can follow along. And I think that was one of them.
That was literally a big sign.
Right. So eventually when I went back in, they doped me up, put me in a coma, cut off my toe. Unfortunately, I wasn't aware what was going on. I knew I had an infection. I didn't know the toe was going to be gone. So once I got in the hospital and they were kind of, telling me they're going to have to do this and this and this, I started freaking out. I had to leave. I have to go. No. Eventually, they had to tie me down. That's when they drugged me up, put me out. I wake up in an ICU with no toe.
Wow.
And that was the first infection, and then they released me from the hospital on oral antibiotics.
Okay.
Which is not what you do with diabetics who just had gangrene. Keep them on an IV.
Yeah.
That's the best thing. They released me oral antibiotics. A lot of reasons why that they gave me. One of them was the insurance wouldn't cover it.
Oh, wow.
So eventually, because I get the oral antibiotics, they had to bring me back in because another infection started. Essentially in the same area.
Yeah.
So I was missing my big toe. The first they just took the big toe on the left foot. Then another infection happened. And I was actually in the hospital while that infection was being created. Yeah. When I got out, eventually the infection got worse. Had to go back in. And the doctor said I had 2 options. Either I remove all the toes because he didn't think that just removing, because now the infection was on the close to the underneath the big toe, the palm of the big toe, but closer to the index toe. So the infection was building there, and they were like, we don't think you're going to heal if we just take off the gangrene that's there. We might as well just remove all your toes, all of your toes, to stop any infection, and so you wouldn't have to come back in and get another operation.
At that rate, be like, remove the fucking foot too, because
they might as well. They might as well. You just might as well. So luckily, my big Jew, right? I am Jewish, right? I use the Judaism for tips and when I'm sleeping with women, they know that I'm Jewish as fuck. So my mom's been working at a Jewish private school for 30 years. So it's all doctors. So the doctors and lawyers, bro, I got the hookup. So if you need anything, let me know. So they luckily the head of the like orthopedics and Hollywood Memorial was like, let's go see him. The guy came in. My mom taught his grandchildren, so he decided to take my case, and he was like, here's what we're gonna do. I want to make it more like a deformity, so we're gonna risk it and just take off the almost 75% of the index toe, and then we'll
analyze there
and go take it from there. We don't want to. You're young enough, and you have a history of some poor circulation, but it's still there. I still grow hair on my toes, which is a good thing. Yeah. So so they just took off the index toe, but it was less than a year later. And what blew my mind is 20 years of diabetes, uncontrolled diabetes.
Yeah.
Probably 2 years into maybe not technically, but I didn't have diabetes. I didn't check my blood sugar. I had a kidney pancreas transplant. I was all gravy, baby. After a year or two after having completely great diabetes, no
signs.
No signs. I'm not on any medicine for diabetes. I'm good. I get fucking gangrene. Just the irony in that. Like, give me gangrene while I'm on dialysis or something like that. Like, while I'm going through diabetes.
Like that's when you get it.
Right. After this chilling, right? Like being able to eat pizza now and fucking, scarfing down like Klondike bars and shit. You know what I mean? Like now I realize what people are going to do for a Klondike bar. I would murder somebody. I get it, bro. I get it. But yeah, man, I thought it was kind of funny. But so that was essentially the amputation. Essentially back to back. Look, I'm still in the middle of like a lawsuit. Obviously suing a hospital. So and some doctors. But it is what it is. But
you did say that you got a new pancreas. You said, right?
Kidney and pancreas.
Okay, so after you got that done, was it like the doctors were like, "All right, you're good to go, man. No diabetes. Good luck, buddy."
So the process is like, okay, so you get put on the list, which I find very interesting is the people that need kidney and pancreas, they get
You're prioritized,
kidney, before someone just needs a kidney.
Oh wow.
The way it works in my case, diabetics, is the reason why you get kidney failure is because of your diabetes.
Yeah.
So if they would just fix the kidney, the diabetes come right back.
Yeah.
Because you have a pancreas that's not
so you might
insulin.
as well fix the pancreas
exactly
while you're there.
Exactly. So luckily I was young enough, and everybody else was old. I'll never forget when they listen. What the ultimate cock tease is getting called and saying, "Hey, I think we have a transplant waiting for you, or you're on the list." I believe there's 20 people, and then they start
whittling everybody down.
Exactly. So I've probably got it twice before. So it wasn't anything to me. It was like, oh, okay, well, I guess we'll hear when they hear it.
Yeah.
Went to the hospital and got it done that night. It was most surreal thing I've ever been through in my life.
Yeah, you probably didn't have time to process it. You're like,
oh
my God, as soon as I'm done with this, like,
let's go to the
life
hospital.
is different.
It was just, hey, yeah, we're ready for you. Like, wait, what? Last time I heard, I was in the top 20. Now I'm in the top 5.
I'm the winner.
Yeah, they call you when you're like, yeah, you're in the top 5 or whatever. You need to start getting your things together in case we call you. So you just rush down because the organs are have a shelf life. Yeah. So it was the most surreal thing. Went down there and they immediately did it. Unfortunately, when I came out of it, I was good, man. I was good.
Yeah. You said you're eating Klondike bars and shit
I was
at that point.
Dude, I had a pizza party. I came out of the hospital and the only thing I wanted to do was like, I'm going to eat a whole thing of Papa John's.
And
not
for
worry
those
about my
that
blood
don't
sugar.
know much about diabetes, pizza is like the holy grail.
Dude, all it is carbs.
Yeah.
It's just
sugar.
Sugar, carbs, and then because they definitely put Domino's and all these places, they definitely put sugar in the sauce, and in the dough, and in the cheese. You know what I mean? Like, it is the ultimate diabetic wet dream.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I was younger. I used to have dreams about going to FL Schwartz.
FA Schwartz,
yes,
the toy store.
Yes, and I swear to God, I would wake up and I'd be like, that is a diabetic's nightmare. Just walking around, just wanting to eat everything, and just getting back, just being, don't know, you're diabetic. But yeah, man, it's the whatchamacallit, fuck, what was it called? Fuck.
Transplant?
Yes, thank you. So when I got out of the hospital for the transplant, I was only there for 4 days.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I thought so too. But I was doing great. Everything, my levels were coming back great. No problems at all. You go home with a catheter. And unfortunately,
I've yet to have one, thank God.
So unfortunately, so people who have kidney problems or anything that has to do with the
I
kidney.
wouldn't think a catheter would be the greatest idea.
But even better is they give you a different gauge. They give you a lower gauge.
Huh.
So it's a
Bigger,
hole.
yeah.
So
Oof.
that's unfortunately I've had countless catheters, and it never, every single time it's like having it first time.
Yeah, it never gets easier.
And they got nurses that aren't so great at it, and if they don't go in the right angle, they got to go in back again, bro. Yeah, okay, I'm getting. Yeah, I'm remembering. So
God,
so they sent me home after like 4 days. Very surprising, but everything was going great. Sent me home, and I kind of have I think it was also insurance, but whatever.
Yeah.
So I go home, and I get home, and I'm excited. It's first time home, and about 4 days, and I'm ready to live this new life. And I go to sit up, and I stand up, and there's a puddle of blood coming from my catheter on the floor, and it was the night of.
Oh,
I'm like flipping out. So we go back to the hospital,
mm-hmm.
and then they check my blood, and looks like I'm having some rejection. So I spent about 2.5 weeks in the hospital, them trying to figure it out. And what happened with me is about 2% of kidney pancreas transplant patients have issues with what they do is they attach it to your bladder.
Yeah.
And you have your old pancreas. So they leave the kidneys in there. And the kidneys get to the size of prunes. They'll show me pictures. It looks like an actual prune.
Yeah. And
then the new kidney is just going to take over
the function.
Exactly. But they leave because the pancreas just does more than just bounces hormones and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So they keep the pancreas in there. They just you get another pancreas that's just dedicated to making insulin.
Yeah.
So and I have
it's like double redundancy.
I have like 4 extra
organs.
I was
gonna say.
cool.
I was just thinking about that. I was like, you have 4 kidneys right now.
And I want them to find me and dig me up. Like, this dude was an alien. So this is what evolution was supposed to be.
Superhuman.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so he can drink as much as he wants. But so yeah, I went back in the hospital, and that's when they had to do. It's called the alteric conversion or something like that, and so I had to go under the knife again and have the exact same procedure, similar procedure, and then eventually, I healed up. Everything seemed to be fine. Unfortunately, with complications from the diabetes, because I'll always have these complications.
Yeah,
they'll never reverse. They said that maybe it'll stabilize, like neuropathy hasn't gotten worse.
Yeah,
it's essentially stabilize. I'll take that over anything,
of course.
But I still have the gastroparesis, I still have neuropathy, I still have the cataracts, I still have the IBS, like all these still have the issues with healing. Like,
do you still have to take insulin?
No.
So you don't. You're completely free of that.
No insulin, no blood sugars.
Basically, you have all the side issues, just not having to stick yourself over there.
I got all the benefits of diabetes. All the great benefits that it comes with. But I what I always say, dude, I'm so appreciative of every complication, every hospital stay.
Yeah.
Because by the age of I want to say by the age of 27, 28, dude, my outlook on life was sincere in the way that every moment mattered, especially after the transplant. I mean, that's when I didn't think I was gonna make it to past 30.
Yeah.
I really thought that I'd drop dead somehow.
And when you got all that, basically you weren't looking at just now, you were looking at you can actually make plans.
And I think that's why I always lent always leaned towards things that I was passionate about, and never and always hyper focused on it because I didn't think I had anything else. You know, I
burn
had,
bright right now and then burn out early.
Exactly, and that's exactly essentially what I did, because by the time I never really considered, other than being on tour, anything else. It was like, I'm just going to do music, and that was going to be it. And then it was like, oh wait, so maybe I do have another 20 to 30 years. Like, oh shit, like what am I going to do? And that's when things gets real.
Yeah.
Especially with the new outlook you get out of it. Because not only that, but you realize that you have this new sense of that life isn't it. Like after you pass, there's definitely something beyond this.
Yeah.
And you only can come to that conclusion through experience. Listen, and these aren't things that maybe I saw God. I never saw God or anything like that. It was
just a feeling
of appreciation and gratitude for the smallest things.
Yeah.
And when you get that sense, you look at the world, and especially when it's fresh, look at the world as insane, and you can't comprehend what you see every day.
Yeah.
And again, it has to do with the set and setting. So, you're in the hospital for months on end, and you're just around sick people and good nurses and positive people.
Yeah.
But still around death and all this.
Yeah.
But
you're seeing both sides of the coin.
Right. And you're in a bubble. So when you get out of this bubble, and everyone's nice to you in the hospital, people don't realize that it's a very strange transition to be in the hospital. Everyone's so kind and
especially
generous
for that long.
And gentle, exactly. And then you get out in the world.
And then the world is the world.
I will never forget how I felt like there was something wrong with me, because I felt like people being mean to me.
Yeah.
And my friend who's like, no, that's
The
everybody.
world,
that's the world. You just have, your perspective is completely changed. So I compare it to the only most extreme experience I've ever had in my life, which was taking like 5 grams of mushrooms. It's a complete
out of body experience.
It is, and your perception's different even afterwards. Not only when you're on it, but even afterwards. And that's how I compare it to the hospital stays, where everybody was so kind and generous and wanted to make sure you got better and loving and I mean, just like a security guard was super nice to you.
Yeah.
And then you get on the world, everyone's just very cold to themselves.
Yeah, you're walking slow. Somebody's like, get out of my way, Crippy.
Exactly. You're like, but bro, I'm blood. Like, come on, bro. Yeah, it's crazy. But I want to say that's definitely some of the weirdest thing. Some of the most extreme differences. But again, it takes you from this very self-centered, very me,
yeah,
and takes you out of that without the use of drugs. And gets you to a point of understanding that you are more than just this meat suit, right? Yeah. And that other people may not be able to see that, but you see that. And not only do you see it in yourself, but you see it in them.
Yeah.
And the way you treat them is a world of a difference. Luckily, I had some really smart people by my bedside while I was in the hospital. I had nurses and doctors that were very open.
That cared.
So much. And one nurse, I want to say he was the catalyst for real change.
Yeah.
That long-lasting change was he told me about, oh my God, I'm spacing. It's something square in Japan.
I don't know.
It was
usually pretty good at that type of stuff.
It was a lot of it was a revolt essentially, and I believe they killed a bunch of
Tiananmen Square.
Thank you. Yeah.
Got you.
I never heard of it in my life.
Oh yeah.
I'm 26. Sorry, 27, 28.
China, I think.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Where's our Jamie? Jamie, get on
Dude,
that,
yeah,
bro.
please, come on, man.
So we he told me about it. I mean, he didn't even tell me about it. He was just like, look it up.
Yeah.
And when I watched it, especially in the state I was in, it was some of the most moving things. And then I started going down this rabbit hole of Eastern philosophy. I learned about Buddhism.
Yeah.
And then I got into the Tao. And once you get into that shit,
you're deep.
You're deep. and you know, a lot of people read the Tao or listen to the Tao or any of these Eastern philosophies is they find it, you know, a bit much or a certain kind of, you can't really understand, you can't grasp it.
Yeah.
But that's because, and I didn't know this till recently, that it's meant for older people.
Yeah.
It's meant for the people
that
that
already
are
had the life experience.
getting ready to leave this
Yes.
earth. So when you're young and
You can't wrap your brain around
you
it.
can't, and look, and you know, whether unfortunately or fortunately, I went through enough in life with life and death and
Yeah.
health and all that stuff to be
You
able to
already
read
had
it.
the life experience to understand it.
And once I started reading it, I was like, I get it. And it was, and even the things that didn't make sense, but essentially that this is what led me towards a path of seeing these ridiculous commonalities in religion
Yeah.
and spirituality, and how the Christians believe in this and the Jews believe in this, but the Muslims believe in this, and all.
But it's all very similar.
Just think about it. So in Judaism, it's God is Hashem,
Yeah.
right? So Hashem, Buddha, Allah.
Yeah.
It's all the same, all the fucking same. It's
And the origin stories are generally
Yes.
very similar.
yes, like
Even all the way going back
virgin
all the way to
berries
the
and shit.
Egyptians.
That's right. That's
You
right.
know?
Was the Egyptians, the Mayans that had the virgin birth and all that stuff?
I think they both had it.
Yeah.
There's a documentary I watched a long time ago, and it was just showed
Zeitgeist.
you the and it
The
showed
first
you
Zeitgeist.
it
Yep.
showed you the similarities between all. I was like, holy shit, they're
Yeah.
all the same. They're the same story being told in different
Yep.
places.
Every time any video that I watch, I always watch an opposing view.
Yeah.
And I was watching the opposing view, and they just
They're
they couldn't
like,
do
I got
anything.
nothing.
They
I got
couldn't do
nothing
anything.
here.
They were trying so hard. I was like, yeah, okay. Which speaking of that movie, what was it? Zeitgeist.
Zeitgeist.
So now that Zeitgeist is out in the Zeitgeist,
Yeah.
it's interesting to see. I remember how underground it was, and now
Yeah.
it's on YouTube.
I remember a friend of mine
YouTube
showing
movie.
it to me like 2010 or something like
Yep.
that. It was real underground at the time. He's
Yep.
like, bro, you got to watch this.
And-
I was like,
And also, I think that's why a lot of our attitudes are the way they are now
Yeah.
about the government. And we were given that at a pivotal point in our lives where it's like, well, now that I know, you really felt like you were getting information that has
Nobody-
been hidden from you this entire
Yeah.
time. Like when someone says like, "Hey, you were born and dead," like I would never know what you meant. Then you're like, "Oh yeah, I am born." Oh shit, you know what I mean?
when I tell people there's a dichotomy to a lot of things like this, a lot of people don't believe it. And as selfless as a lot of things are, especially in the spiritual realms, like you have to be selfless, you have to give to everybody else and whatnot. In order to fix the world around you, you have to be selfish.
Oh, dude, I remember either posting this or reading it, but it was in order to be selfless.
You have to be selfish. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Because if I don't get up and work out and things like that, how could I pull somebody from a burning car if I see it on the side of the road?
It's the analogy is perfect with the airbags that come out of in the planes.
Yeah.
You have to take care of yourself before you can take care of somebody else.
That's exactly what it is.
And in my life, that's always been like, I knew that I can't control. I'm trying to grasp my control of my life, but what I can do is help somebody else and try to help control their life.
As you're going to shit and you're like, hey, I can help you. And it's like,
Yep.
how about you use some of that information on yourself? Like, don't worry about me.
Exactly. Dude, the advice I give, I think are remarkable. Right? Like if I can have a podcast version, long conversation with somebody, and I give them the best advice, and I'm an overthinker, so after the conversation, I'll go over the whole conversation and then some 14 times, and I'm like, well, that's some really good advice. You know what? I should really take this advice, but I never will. I never will. Ever.
I mean, this is essentially why I wanted to do this podcast, like in general, because people can interview The Rock and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it seems so unattainable what they've accomplished in life.
Yeah.
But I'm just a guy, Josh's just a guy, Eli's just a guy, but everybody has the shit that they go through.
And the guy is different.
Yeah, and like right now, Eli's learning that
Mm-hmm.
you have to be disciplined. You have to worry about yourself.
Yes.
Before you help anything else.
I think Eli, and this is also where I think, because my only experience is with bands, and I think the band and the experience with the band actually directly correlates with podcasting.
Yeah.
It's A, putting the spotlight on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
B, essentially being depending on the person, but being unapologetic.
Yeah.
And being completely bare and completely just putting it out there. And then also promotion side, organization side, dedication.
Well, it's just like, I messaged you earlier today and I said, is there anything you don't want me to kind of touch on?
Yeah.
Because the only thing I was worried about was, questioning you about like when John came in.
Yeah.
That was the first thing on my mind because I didn't want you to be like, well, I just don't want to say anything bad about it. I didn't want that weirdness.
Yeah. I look at it like this. Like, for me at least, if you're going to do a podcast, you're either going to be 100% transparent,
yep,
or you're just going to be closed off. And and for me at least, if I'm going to show up somewhere, someone has put money, time, blood, sweat, and tears into your setup, right? A podcaster's setup. Why you wouldn't go in there with intention to be as authentic and as transparent as you can?
Absolutely.
Doesn't make sense to me. And what would be the point? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And especially when I start getting people in here that I don't really know that well, that's going to be my thing. It's like, are they being authentic? How can I read them to know if they're bullshitting or not?
I think that the only way you can be able to tell is by keep doing it.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Even with some of the things that Eli said last time, I double checked. I was just like, I need to make sure this is real, before I put this out to people.
Well, and that's so I think you have a couple of things going for you. A, I fucking love your voice. You have a really good voice, and I think it's perfect for podcasting.
Yeah.
And I also, what you have going for you is your story.
Yeah.
Your story is not only is it relatable, but it boils down to a simple. I want to say simply is as simple as your banner.
Yeah.
Discipline equals freedom.
Yeah. From Jack.
It really does fucking boil down to that.
That's all it is.
It's a decision to not only change your life, right? But I think, it's not even a thought. I think it's a fact. It's the mindset.
Yeah.
It's staying in that mindset. And somebody who is very either all or nothing, staying in that mindset is the most difficult thing.
Because if I'm not all, I'm nothing.
Exactly. And so let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What was it that what was the one thing? Well, I think you already answered it, but maybe you could get more
I'll
detail.
clarify.
When was it? When did you decide this is it? This needs to change?
It was about a week. A week experience. I was just living my normal life, and going to Publix, and at the time, parking closer always, better.
Oh, no.
But when you're at the first spot at Publix and you can't, which is our local grocery store, and you can't walk to the front door without being exhausted, that's an issue.
Yeah.
And I was in my room watching, it was like I think it was my 600-pound life or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that motherfucker, you piece of shit. And like he's eating, and it's like, Steve was 510 pounds. I was like, I weigh more than that fucking dude. Like,
shit.
Yeah.
You weighed more than 5?
Yeah, I was 525.
Oh my
God. At my biggest. And I had 3 choices. And it was very simple to me. Yeah. Either I kept doing what I was doing, let's see if I can hit a record, get 1,200 pounds.
Right.
And, die of a fucking heart attack and then be craned out of here like Gilbert Grape.
Good movie.
That was choice 1. And embarrass my family, embarrass everybody. Choice 2, switch my careers, become an interior decorator and blow my brains out and spray it all over the walls.
I mean, listen, that would be a very Dexter Morgan-esque interior design.
I'm decorating with the nice color of red.
Right.
Or I could get off my ass and do something about it.
So what was the first thing you did?
I tried to do the 100% thing. I tried to go all in. Yep. I tried hiring trainers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And no trainer wanted to work with me. They didn't know how. Like,
well, yeah, I remember.
you can't do box jumps at
I've heard
525 pounds and shit like that.
But what I never understood was there was no trainer that was just gonna be like, hey, let's do this. I guess they were
the most reasonable trainer I had. He was this kid. There's no way he was over 21, and he was, and I felt bad for him. And like, he was just like, all right, we're just gonna do squats, and that's cool. But when you have this guy for an hour, and you're doing squats for an hour at that size, and I have a bottle of water like that, it's not gonna work, man. I saw him freaking out when I felt like I was getting ready to pass out, and I don't remember what gym it was.
Yeah,
but I saw his face like, oh fuck, I think I got way over.
Yeah,
like I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be doing this.
If anything were to happen to you, would they be liable?
I don't know.
I'm curious.
Probably. I would think so. I would think so because they're supposed to have the knowledge to not bring you to that point.
Yeah, but there's a lot of personal trainers that I know that they've just been working out for a long time.
Yeah,
a long time. There's nothing they really know that's gonna. I mean, yeah, they just know what they know, but it's not gonna be conducive to either whatever position you're in or
if you've got any sort of disability, it's hard for these trainers to work with you because they're thinking it's just the average guy who's got 15, 20 pounds to lose. Yeah. And, we know those workouts we can do for you, you know, and it just, they don't apply to everybody.
Now, so when you got denied to have a trainer, because I'm curious on because a lot of the time you get to a point in your life, and I've been there, where it's you have the will, but you can't see a way. So it's as if you're walking on a path, and all of a sudden that path is gone, and you have to figure out what path to go.
Well, the weird part about that, for me at least, is like there was the fork in the road. There was arrows and giant lights that was saying go this way, and like this way was like a muddy bog.
I see. Yeah.
And I was just like, God, which way do I?
Yeah. Do I go through? I see. So
I don't trust all those lights that tell me that that's the right way to go.
Right. Well, so when what was your? So we know that the deciding factor was nobody would train you, right? Like that was just like, hey, like,
and I couldn't train myself because I don't know that I don't have the knowledge.
Right. So what did you do? What was your first step in being like, here, nobody's gonna be able to train me. This is what I'm gonna have to do.
Listening.
Yes,
that was the first thing. My dad had been talking to me for, God, it has to have been a decade. About because he had an actual bypass back in '99.
Oh, that's early, man.
Yeah, and when I was starting to get real bad, he was like, kind of like, "Hey, man, we can do this. Like, we can do it now. Let's get it done." I'm like, "No, I want to do it myself. Again, that's the control thing.
Yep.
And I think it didn't affect me at that point because I was still getting girlfriends. I was still working, still playing bands. I was still able to do everything that I was able to do in life.
Right.
And when I wasn't is when I was just like, oh, fuck, I got to listen. I got to listen to people. And the only option I really had, and I honestly thought I was going to be turned down for surgery. And luckily I wasn't. Right. I had to deal with a lot of shit after that. There was people that was just like, oh, you're taking the easy way out.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't realize it's not the easy way. You get about 3 months of easy.
And
then it's you got to do the fucking work, kid.
Yeah, exactly. And I look at it like what is it?
Got to change your mind.
Yeah. So somebody was telling me about they wanted to do mushrooms, and they were saying how, I want to do mushrooms. It's going to completely change the way I think. I'm going to have a new life after this. It's like, you could take all the mushrooms in the world, but if you don't follow up with the messages or the meaning that you took away from that experience, you're just going to
it's going to be nothing.
Right back to the way you were.
Well, I think the statistics are the surgery has an 80% failure rate. Wow. Where people regain all the weight back because they're not dealing with what's going on up
The
there.
underlying issue.
Yeah.
Well, they're taking care of and it's also
They're given the tool. They stress so hard before you get the surgery.
Are you psych evaluated?
Yeah.
So so they do that with the kidney pancreas transplant too.
Yeah, they're just like, we want to make sure you're ready for this, and you're not gonna go, okay, I can only eat one ho-ho.
Let me ask you this: do you think you were prepared?
Yeah, I was good to go, because the second I was done with that surgery and I was in the hospital, I was like, yeah, I don't want any of that shit anymore.
Wow.
Like,
wow.
I was done. Like, I got out of the hospital on Easter.
Wow.
My dad got out of the hospital on Thanksgiving.
Irony.
On Thanksgiving.
Wow.
It's just like, welcome to the world of food, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't want it.
Well, you were on like a liquid diet?
So I think that either my situation could have gotten really well or really wrong, because I have not tested the limits of certain things. Like, I've never overeaten to where I've gotten sick. Never.
So is it, you got a lap band? Is that
No. Like, in my stomach, it looks like a banana.
Oh.
Like, everything else was taken.
Oh, okay. So the difference between the lap band is just
lap band's just a device that they pump like gel in that keeps a restriction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So your stomach is just a set.
Yeah.
But it could always get bigger, right?
I mean, it can get bigger, but you got to really force it.
Oh, okay.
You know, which is why it always baffles me when people gain more weight than they originally weighed after getting this.
Yeah.
I was just like, dude, you got to work for that.
You know what baffles me is when I see what you're eating for breakfast: fucking egg whites and hot
and French toast. And actually, my breakfast is always French toast. Before you came here, I had the egg whites.
Oh, okay. Oh, so I saw you posted something, and I don't remember.
It's egg whites, salt, pepper, and hot sauce.
Yeah. It was a very artsy picture. It was
very low calorie.
Bro, I was losing my mind. I'm not even a breakfast guy, but I'm like, bro, egg whites.
Come on, bro, get it together.
Yeah, I'm like, come on.
That can't taste good.
It's even though it's the most nutritious breakfast I can.
It's just, I mean, like, if you look at the back of a carton of egg whites, it's 25 calories for like a quarter cup.
Really?
Yeah, so I could literally drink almost the whole thing and I'd be fine.
Yeah, see, all right, so once I turned vegan, I had to be, and the reason why I turned vegan is because I was going, so after the transplant surgery and having the second surgery, then eventually a year or two later, I had some rejection. And it wasn't serious, but I did get put in the hospital, and but in the hospital,
that's crazy. That late in the game, it would still reject.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it can happen anytime, and they've taken little biopsies of my kidneys and shit, and pancreas as well, to make sure there's no rejection or anything. But it's gonna, and these don't last forever. Yeah, there's an expiration.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So eventually, so they say like kidneys can last like 20 years.
Yeah.
Maybe even longer.
You're gonna have to get another one,
and then I would have to get another one. Pancreas is, I think, only lasts about 10 years.
Oh fuck!
So I'm about 5 years in. Again, it all depends on your age and how well you're doing.
How well you do with it.
So I will take every day. I swear to God, whenever somebody's like, I haven't spoken to them for a while, and I feel it's a little irritating, but listen, I like it. It's like, hey, how you doing? I haven't spoken to in a while. Like, just living life and not having to worry about what I eat. I can't express how grateful I am every day that I can wake up if I want a goddamn Coke. Yeah. Or if I want some orange juice and not have to feel sick afterwards, or have to have a low blood sugar in order to have some orange juice. Yeah. Like, things like that is a reminder every day that there is a way out, and unfortunately, or fortunately as well, I think, and this is where I think the universe does things for a reason, or it works in a way where you either take the wheel or you don't. And I think it gave me an opportunity to either continue in my destructive path and self-sabotaging, or actually get shit together. And again, it was and is still a learning experience every day. Yeah. There's not a day that goes by I wake up and I'm like, oh, today's a great day. I feel great. Yeah. Every day is neuropathy. It's gastroparesis. It's the pain, the over drinking water. It's it is a pain in the ass, but at the end of the day, when you're able to say, I survived it,
Yeah.
well, there's nothing better than that, and I will do it. I would do it over again a million times, and even through all the hardships, it does make the person you are.
Yeah,
Completely makes the person you
absolutely,
are.
it does.
And I look at you and I see this, like, I feel like your name fits you now. I don't know why, dude. It's like,
I feel like I should have a battle axe and
dude,
a sword.
really, yeah, really. Like your logo needs to be a battle axe and a sword, like a skull and like a burger, just like
just in the background somewhere,
but like a veggie burger.
Yeah.
I really don't like burger. But no, it's like you. The change I've seen in you is I talked to Kiana about it, like randomly.
Yeah, the funniest thing is I met her when you guys did the podcast last time, long time ago.
Oh yeah,
at that warehouse.
Yeah, off Griffin, right?
Yeah,
yes.
So that was the last time I saw her, and that was like one of the first times I ever met her.
But you saw her at shows too, right?
Yeah. Of course.
She was always the she was considered the black girl outside culture.
Yeah,
that's all I knew her as.
She honestly, she looked like the girl that was at a fashion show.
Yes.
At a rock show.
Yes.
That's how I always had it, because she's tall, she's slender, and she,
she's short, but she makes it.
Yeah, I'm saying like the way she looks.
And
like,
it would be her and Kendall.
Yes,
remember Kendall?
always.
So it was just too tall. Well, not really.
Yeah.
And they're both models.
I think it's because of they do have long legs, and so the appearance seems tall.
Yes, it's the illusion.
Yes,
the illusion of tall.
Yes,
I learned that when I started dating her,
and she was a sweetheart. It was nothing but a sweetheart.
But I was talking to her about you. I was like, dude, look at this guy, and we both were like, Brock's a fucking good looking guy. Like we even she was telling me, I think she saw you at the Culture Room. You were playing a show with it was
Wednesday 13. That was the last show I played.
Yeah, you were playing.
I think I played the Culture Room 3 times. Oh, that was Cyrus. Holy shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I totally forgot. You're in that. I'm all thinking this one band. I'm like, no, that's right. So yeah, so saw you were there, and even then she's like, yeah, he was a good looking guy.
Yeah.
She's like, now he's just getting more handsome. I'm like, and listen, I'm so jealous of your hair, bro. It's all natural, right?
All right. So you have no idea how many people. Yeah, it's like 100% natural.
Fuck,
like
man.
you can look at my senior picture. You can see the gray to start or whatever.
You understand? Every time I see your picture, I'm like, this asshole. Like you have the do you get any gray in your beard?
Yeah, I do. So if you see it in the light, there's gray, there's red, there's brown.
It's not even, I don't like to say gray because I have grays. But
yeah, like I don't know if they call this gray
silver,
or if it's silver. Yeah.
Fox. No, it's silver, bro. It's so good.
Or
man.
white. I mean, I don't know.
I can see that. Yeah. White. I like silver, man.
The funniest thing is, that's the one thing I've always gotten a lot of compliments on is the way my hair has gone this way.
Well, it's so. You, if I remember correctly, it was brown.
Yeah, it was brown. It was dark brown.
When did it start changing?
17.
Wow.
Yeah, like I said, my senior picture, you see like a little patch of white, and then it just starts growing back. Like if you look at me from the side, like it's still a little dark back here.
Was it? Were you struggling with it? Was it?
No, not at all.
It was like it is what it is.
Yeah, it's just like whatever. At least I'll be unique at 23.
But it's so good.
The way I looked at it, I had two options. My brother had no hair by 21.
See, my hair's thinning as fuck now, man. I'm like flipping out. Like,
and you had long hair, and
dude.
shit.
I was God. My hair was my shit. I was like, it didn't matter as long as my hair looked good. I was good, and maybe iron shirt or something like that.
And if because I think sometimes people are a little intimidated to talk to me. If they don't know me, I'm 6'1", I'm broad shouldered, I especially with the mask we have to wear now, I can see that I look like a murderer probably to some people.
Here's Ted Bundy.
So the first thing that most people try to come up to me in terms of and talk to me is always like, hey man, I like your hair. That's always how people break the ice with me, no matter what it is.
Here's the thing: is I think some of it, sometimes people that go all natural, you know what I mean? It doesn't. It fits you so well. I think that with people in life, sometimes you're growing up and either you're really pretty and you're getting a lot of the attention, or you're really wealthy, or you're super popular at prom or in high school. But then get in the real world, that's not that. And so I feel like you've just completely grown into.
Well, I grew backwards, I feel, because I was bigger. I had to develop the personality. I had to develop a sense of humor, and I had to learn how to be quick. You know, if I wanted to get with any female, which when you're young, that's your motivation.
That's your goal in life.
You have to develop those things.
Yeah.
You know, if you're just a good-looking dude, that'll get you to the dance.
Yeah.
But in the end, when you're 30, that means nothing to anybody.
Get you a dance, but you're not going to get another dance.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
And I've just been fortunate enough to develop a personality to where now, you know, people are saying that, you know, that I'm looking a lot better and things like that. And and I will say confidence goes a long way. Because I am so much more confident than I used to be, and
in your pictures, you can see your confidence.
Yeah,
it radiates.
Well, that actually changed because of the psychological evaluation that I had for surgery. So the doctor that I had, I think he was in Weston, if I remember correctly. I don't remember his name. I have his evaluation here somewhere. But when I read it, it stuck with me. It said Brock Rowe is psychologically unremarkable in terms of like having issues. He tends to hide his intelligence to make other people feel comfortable. And I was just like, oh shit, do I do that? And I had to like really think about how I interacted with the world.
Yeah.
And so after that, I immediately stopped.
Wow.
And I was just like, I need to correct that because I'm hiding who I am. Like, I know I'm intelligent.
Yeah.
But I just didn't want to show the world.
Yeah.
That
I will never forget sitting at you at Primanti Brothers on Oakland. And I think I got some fucking awesome sandwich. Pastrami with fucking French fries.
Yeah, it's Primanti Brothers. I mean,
so good. And I think you got a slice of pizza or whatever. And I was just sitting eating with you. And this is when you're, I think you were going to school to become a chef, or you're a chef.
I was in culinary school.
Yes. And we were talking about culinary school. And I remember like, that was when when you connect with music, you know, it's like, hey, we have a connection with music.
Yeah.
But then when you connect on like something that's
not music.
Right. And I remember you lighting up, and also me feeling like this was a real connection.
Yeah.
Like, it was something about that moment and the way you looked and the way I felt, and it always stuck with me. And I don't think I've ever got to, and I think I've said it on Stuck in the Middle. Shout out Stuck in the Middle podcast Mondays and Wednesdays. I don't even know how to put it into words, but something about that moment has stuck with me, 20 years now. You know what I mean? Like
I think it's because you saw my brain engage with something.
I probably saw you for the first time.
Yeah. Because I was able to talk about music with anybody, but it was kind of just like, all right, go through the motions, say the things that come to your brain real quick about music. Like,
after having a billion conversations about music,
you're like, fucking Metallica. Anyways,
yeah. You hear that new Tool album? Yeah.
Whatever. Let's go on to the new thing.
Right. I mean, you lived it. You lived music. So
like it's kind of like how people that make movies are like, I know how the sausage is made now. Yeah, like I don't care. It's not that I don't care. It just doesn't affect me in the same way.
Right.
That's why, all these physical things I do, whether it's, working out in my garage, which you saw, or jujitsu or Muay Thai or boxing, like I'm always learning because I'm always losing. That's one of the reasons why I've learned that jujitsu and all that is so important, because no matter how good you are, like if I am the best guitar player in Broward County, there's some kid that's been watching YouTube for 3 years that can destroy me.
Yeah.
But that doesn't humble me.
So
because I know I've done more than that kid did.
Yeah.
In jujitsu, I can walk into any jujitsu school in the state, and I will get my ass handed to me by at least half the people in that room.
So it's humiliating, but in a good way.
Yeah, it brings you down to reality. Like, you don't get a chance to get an ego when you're getting kicked in the fucking neck. Like,
and I've always obviously listening to Joe Rogan stuff, and he's a proponent obviously for
jujitsu.
for jujitsu,
Yep.
and I mean, I took karate when I was in elementary school and stuff like that, but every time I hear him speaking about the benefits of it, I'm like, everybody should have this.
Yeah, it's the benefits are insane. Like, in karate, the reason why it's not like karate and taekwondo, and I know there's going to be people that are like, "Oh, karate's fucking awesome," and it's like, totally cool, dude. Do it if that's your thing.
Yeah.
But the reason why it's not as effective is because if you went full contact with everybody in your school, you're gonna run out of students eventually.
Oh.
People are gonna be unconscious and dead.
Really?
Yeah. If I kick somebody in the head with my shin. It's like hitting him in the head with a baseball bat.
I'm just imagining that.
Yeah, you're going to run out of students. There's just going to be a whole bunch of unconscious and dead bodies on the floor. But in jiu-jitsu, I can choke you out. And, and Rogan said it best. When you tap out, that basically is like you going, you could have killed me, but you chose not to.
There's so much to learn from that. I mean, so I'll say this. So the only way
Oh, and by the way, humility was learned to me real quick whenever the first person, I was still 400 pounds at this point, the first person to pick me up and throw me like I wasn't even there is a woman by the name of Christine. I think she's a black belt now, but she wasn't then. And she picked me up like I wasn't even there. And she's about 5'3", 5'2".
And that's just placing your weight.
It's whatchamacallit, leverage.
Yes.
That's it is. The strongest pivot point in your whole body is your hip.
See, this is where, and I hate to get political or anything like that, because again, I'm not big onto politics, but I'm big into logic and reasoning and making sense. Why this isn't being taught at any sort of authority figure that may use any sort of force of violence or restraint should have this.
So the Gracie brothers, Henner and Hiron, just created the police initiative to teach them jiu-jitsu. Now, there's a couple reasons that they've determined why. Cost, first of all.
Determined why not to? Or
why they haven't done universally. Okay. Costs, it's very expensive.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, you got to think, if it's not expensive on a one-person basis, but you have 1,200 officers out there, or NYPD, you have 30,000 officers there. That gets a little pricey.
Well, as somebody who obviously has more information than I do, couldn't they maybe
they could work an agreement, absolutely.
Well, at least cut. Obviously, there's programs that aren't doing the deed or to do the job, but why couldn't they cut those programs and somehow make it again? I don't know.
Yeah, no. That's perfectly logical questions. Yeah. And the other problems are also non-duty related injuries, because you're being so physical, you can get hurt, and now you're down an officer on the street. So they have to figure out a way to make it all worthwhile. Yeah. Like the way Henner and Hiron has expressed it is they should, in a lot of departments, they have your training credentials are tied into your promotions and tied into your advancement. So if I have, let's say, 100 hours of jiu-jitsu this year, my chances of getting promoted is better than the guy who has 20.
I see. So, given
me doing jiu-jitsu as much as I have already gives me a leg up in the application process.
Ooh.
Because of the techniques we know.
Yeah. Of course.
And a lot of departments are going that way.
Yeah. So do you personally know any police officers that have had the training of, of jiu-jitsu?
All the guys that I know do jiu-jitsu, or they're very well versed in things like that, or very well versed in boxing, or very well versed in Muay Thai and things like that.
And that's all about discipline.
Yes, and it's 100% discipline.
So see, that's what, as somebody so my passion went from music to cannabis.
Yeah.
And as somebody that is always researching cannabis, trying to better and trying to attain more information, so I don't look like an asshole if somebody brings something up and I don't know about it. If I'm representing a company that I'm working with and I'm saying I'm an expert in this company, then they ask me a question and I give some bullshit answer or something. So why, at least all the cops, at least all of them, don't want to further their education and their
I think they do, but I don't think they do on their own dime.
Okay.
They want the department to pay for it, which is, because it's a job related skill.
Yeah.
I don't think that's out of the that's not out of the realm of what they should be asking for. I personally believe that I believe within 5 years, jiu-jitsu will be mandatory across the country.
So something's going to happen for sure. Sure.
Because when there's a shooting, they have to show in the court that this officer has this much training with his gun. Let's say he shoots at somebody, it misses, it hits a child. That officer is automatically responsible for the death of that child. Now, if they're saying, dude, this guy was acting crazy, he was moving, this guy has 2,000 hours on that handgun and he's an expert marksman.
Right.
That negates some of the liability.
Right.
So once they start seeing that in a court situation, like, dude, he did everything he could. Yeah. He's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu.
Right.
Like, if he wasn't restraining him, nobody here was restraining him.
I see what you're saying.
Once it hits the pocket, that's where things, it's just like with anything. When something hits the pocket, it's just like the guy who's like, my water heater looks bad, but I can get a couple of years, and then it explodes and takes out their roof.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
And example. Then you're like, fuck, if I would have just paid for that back then, I would have been golden.
Right. So, but what?
Like, I'm trying to get Eli to go to jiu-jitsu.
Dude,
because I think it would benefit him greatly.
I think
I try to get everybody to go to jiu-jitsu.
I think, especially with Eli, I think it will humble him. And not only that, but it will center him.
Yeah.
Because I know, at least, from everything I heard, and I've benefited from exercise at one point.
Yeah.
It will, obviously, all the things we said before, but also the feeling of even after meditation, right? Any sort of work that you're doing, internally, the aftermath is the best part of it.
Yes, absolutely.
I love
after I'm
out.
done with jiu-jitsu, I'm just like, oh, that was amazing.
It's so good. And at first, at least for me, the most exercise, I did 6 months of P90X.
Wow, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I did not get any. I'll say this: I didn't get the results I wanted.
Yeah.
I wanted to look like fucking Billy Blanks.
But the thing with all those workout routines is that they're not telling you is that it's 80% in your diet.
Yes,
80% of it is your diet.
Yep.
If I ate like an asshole and worked out as much as I did, I'd still look like an asshole.
Well, can't you? So are you at a point where? Or I guess it's more of a.
I can eat whatever the fuck I want.
Right. But so I always looked at looking out as you can always maintain. You can eat whatever you want. You just need to exercise enough to maintain it.
Yeah. So the one thing I've really come to believe in the past couple months is the calories in, calories out thing. So
that's what. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Trevor, my old guitarist, the one I lived with, saw my balls. He is a vegan, and he is all about. He says it's all about math, and he's a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
So he's just like, it's all about math. Don't worry about shit. Just do the math. Calories, calculate it.
That's
exercise.
It. Yeah, whatever you're eating, it doesn't matter. Obviously, if you eat 600 calories in peanut butter cups, it's different. Yeah. Like, don't be an asshole about it. But when people say this is the end all be all with, like, whether it be vegan or keto or OMADing or things like that, I'm really hesitant on those things because what works for one person, keto might destroy another person and just run them into the ground.
Yep.
But the facts that still remain, you cannot break the laws of thermodynamics.
Yeah.
If you have 1,000 calories a day and you burn 3, you're at a 2,000 calorie deficit.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And now,
and you're gonna lose weight.
And so you count every single calorie you eat. You count.
Yeah. Well, it's because I don't change anything. And when I do, I don't even chance. Like, I'm so data and statistics oriented. I weigh every single morning without fail. And usually that's one thing that everybody tells you not to.
Yeah.
But it's because when I tweak something, I want to see how it's affecting me.
But you leave room for those like, kind of nuances.
Sometimes like I can, people at work can tell you everything I eat. In the morning, I wake up, I make that anabolic French toast. After that,
let me ask you this, because I'm really curious.
Yeah.
How do you make the French toast?
Take regular ass white bread, boring ass white bread. If you look at that, it literally has 60 calories. That's all white bread has, is 60 calories.
Okay.
You take it, and put it to the side.
How many slices are you doing?
I do 2.
Okay.
You take egg whites, not whole eggs.
Yeah.
And you put in cinnamon, protein powder, PB Fit, and nutmeg and vanilla extract. Put it in the mixture, mix it up real quick. Take the bread, dip it in there, put it in the pan.
Any butter?
I use cooking spray, just like a quick spray,
Right.
Cook it slow and low, and then you're done. And then what I put on top of it, I don't even put technically real maple syrup. I put on either Walden Farms 0 calorie maple syrup, or I think they call it pancake syrup.
Okay.
And or Aunt Jemima's, or you want to go crazy, go get the Walden Farms no calorie chocolate. It's like you're having dessert for breakfast.
Yeah.
But that's like it's 12. You're right at about 225 calories total for breakfast, and it's amazing, and it's so dense that you are full for a lot of the day. And then after that, 9 o'clock in the morning, I have a bag of Orville Redenbacher Smart Pop.
So what time do you have breakfast?
I wake up at 4:30. So about.
I heard you trying to get Eli up at 6:30 now.
Yeah, I was like, that's the earliest I'm gonna push you. Like, I text him every single morning.
You're so good for Eli. So good for him. I really think you're a game changer for him. But okay, so you have it at. So you wake up and eat.
I wake up and work out.
Okay.
And then
wake up at 4. What time do you go to bed every night?
Depends.
Yeah.
Like tonight, it's gonna be like around 1.
Okay.
And then I eat around 6 or 7. And then I eat at 9 that bag of popcorn. I eat another bag at 11. So that's another 200 calories altogether. Each bag is 100
So you start
calories.
eating at what, 5?
6 or 7.
So 6 or 7, you have your first meal.
Yep.
And then you have
the bag of popcorn at 9.
Okay.
Bag of popcorn at 11.
And this is just straight up white popcorn.
It's Orville Redenbacher Smart Pop. It's 100 calories per bag. And I add like this, it's like a flavoring salt to it.
Yeah. I used to buy the salt and vinegar one.
And so for lunch, I usually have this flat bread. It's made from Joseph's Lavish Bread. And you take a little bit of this company called G's Sauce, barbecue sauce. Again, 0 calories. You put it on there, put some chicken on that. That's like a chicken protein roll-up.
Right.
Throw that down my face. And then when I get home, I have the egg whites with the hot sauce and the salt and pepper. And then if I'm really hungry, I'll either have another thing of popcorn, or I'll make it's what's called anabolic ice cream, which is strawberries, protein powder, ice, water, vanilla almond milk unsweetened, a little bit of sweetener in there, and xanthan gum, which makes it thick.
Right.
And
yeah, I've definitely heard of it.
You're done, and I'm good all day.
Now, again, I always thought during like the height of my eating disorder, right? I always thought, I'll give you for example, my psychologist, and I was seeing her specifically for an eating disorder. She specialized in it. And she said, you know, a lot of people always would say, "Oh my gosh, you're so skinny," and they didn't realize that it's exactly as saying, "Oh my God, you're so fat."
That's exactly what it is.
And I never, I didn't experience, I didn't think of that till I actually went through it.
Yeah.
And then she started saying, like, what about, when people touch pregnant women's bellies,
same thing.
they don't really like it. It's not.
It's like, don't fucking touch me.
Yeah,
like
it's like so what I've always kind of thought of is that, like, I see a lot of these people that are meal prepping and eating very strict, like you are, and working out to count for the calories and all that stuff. At what point does that become an eating disorder?
I think it's when you have other options. Like, let's say if your friends are like, "Hey man, let's go out and have a bite to eat," and you're like, "No, I can't. Like, when you start freaking out about that because there's change. Then this weekend I was at like I said, my buddy Eric's house. He made some wings. He made some grilled wings. I tore that shit up, and you know what I'm saying.
So you will.
Yeah, dude.
Okay,
I'm not some sort of machine.
Yeah.
You know, that's because that's how, like you said, you lead to an eating disorder.
Bro. You burn out.
Yeah.
Or you burn out. Yeah.
Yeah. You've got to allow yourself just a little bit of leeway.
Yeah.
You can't be a machine at all times.
Yeah.
Like, even the guy I look up to, Jocko Willink, he's like, yeah, I have mint chocolate chip milkshakes all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
I always see, for whatever reason, I follow The Rock on Instagram. Don't ask me why, bro.
and he has those big ass cheat days.
Dude, I've never seen fucking French toast.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like 10 inches thick.
Yeah,
it's
his is ridiculous. Like, he actually posted that the other day, and I was just like,
did he?
holy shit,
Dude, I see the ice cream he eats. He's
Yeah.
like, it's tubs of ice cream. He's like, cheat day, and it's like 16 different meals in front of him.
The key for things like that, especially a guy that burns as many calories as he, like his, well, he has what, in a big way, what's called NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So
he burns calories just sitting down.
he's just a furnace. Anything he throws down, because his body's just so active, it burns immediately.
So you program your body that way by just
work your ass off. And he's been doing it his whole life.
Exactly.
You know, so his body's just built to burn. You know, the problem that people have, and I'm convinced of this, is that when they have a cheat day, then it becomes a cheat weekend, then it becomes a cheat week, month, and now they're plus 30 pounds.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the fuck happened? I was doing so good. It's like, no, you weren't. You just inhaled a sleeve of fucking Girl Scout cookies.
Yep.
You know? And I was that guy. Trust me, I totally know. I'm just like, I don't know what happened. You know, if people want to scare the shit out of themselves, write down everything you eat in a day.
Dude, I did that.
That is so scary, right?
Well, for me, it was how less I was eating.
Yeah.
I wasn't eating at all.
It works both ways.
Yeah. I was flabbergasted. Like at the end of the day, I usually go through like what I'm eating, because usually at the end of the night, I'm like, oh God, my stomach's fucked up.
Yeah.
Or if it feels good, I'm like, what did I eat that made my stomach feel this way? And when I go down, for instance, today, I had an Impossible breakfast sandwich it's just 2 pieces of bread and then a patty of breakfast sandwich and ramen and some coffee. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's insane. But again, like that, I'm so busy during the day, I don't even take the time out to eat. And when I get hungry, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm hungry. And then I can eat, do what I'm doing, and then I forget to eat. It's
well, that's why I've scheduled myself. That's why I can literally, like, if you ask anybody I work with, 9 o'clock, what happens? I'm in that break room with a bag of popcorn.
And you meal prep, right?
Depends. It depends. So like with the pizzas and stuff like that, yeah, I try to.
Yeah.
You can meal prep the French toast. I just don't like reheating breakfast shit.
No.
And one of the people that really influenced the way I eat, because for a while I was really stagnant. I wasn't moving. The scale is not fucking moving.
Right.
And I came across a guy on YouTube by the name of Greg Doucette. He's a pro bodybuilder, but his whole thing is he's pushing low calorie, really dense foods that just keep you full.
That makes
but
so
they're
much sense.
Very low calorie. And since then, I mean, if you see it on Instagram, like my scale's literally like down.
Yeah.
Down.
It's fucking crazy, man. Like, yeah, again, it to go from where you were to where you're at now is
About 2 months ago, I had a crazy moment of realization when I had lost more than I actually weighed. That was crazy to me.
dude.
When
That's an
I
epiphany.
think it was like 262 pounds at the time, and I was just like, I weigh 261 pounds and I've lost 262. That
Jesus
is
Christ.
crazy to
You
me.
lost a you.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's like if I split myself in half and threw that part in the garbage.
Dude.
It's I've told a bunch of people this. As shitty as 2020 has been to a lot of people, it's been very good to me.
Dude, it's all about how you look at it.
Yeah,
It's
like
all-
I've used this time to make myself better.
And thank you. That should be the takeaway. Not the election, the
No.
COVID, none of that. Is what did you do?
To make your world better.
Because I'm a huge proponent. Is you can live in the shittiest area in the you
Yeah.
can have the shittiest life.
Yeah.
But your mindset is what determines your entire
And
thing.
if you're not doing anything to better your situation, there's nothing that's going to help you.
So when at a point in my life, I decided to just give up.
Yeah.
I was just like, you know what? I'm doing all this. I just can't do it anymore. I just can't. And knowing that there will be consequences.
Yeah.
I came to the realization of being okay. This is it.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And so I can't complain about anything that
We're
happens.
staring
after
into the abyss.
nothing. Anything that happens, it's fine.
Yeah.
And luckily, you work yourself out of it.
Yeah.
But once you get into the mindset of this is what I'm going to do,
Mhm.
and nothing's going to fucking stop me, the mindset is the action is only half the battle.
Yeah.
It's convincing yourself to go through it. And
Unquestionably.
and what I love, and this is what I would do. I want to push myself. I want to know what it was like to surrender to everything and everyone, to death.
Yeah.
So I took a bunch of hallucinogenics, and that was the first time that I truly surrendered, into whatever the experience, and that taught me from then on that surrendering is the most beneficial thing you can do in your life.
Yeah.
Whether you're surrendering to a life that you're trying to change,
Mhm.
you surrender to the fact that you're going to have to do a lot more to get where you want to go, or even surrendering to depression.
Yep.
And again, and you're not giving up.
No.
You're surrendering to it. And
Yeah.
once you surrender to it, you are able to experience it in its whole, in every spectrum of
The good, the bad, the ugly.
and I think that's essentially what happened with these. You surrendered to yourself to the process. You said, "Here, this is what I'm willing to do, and I'm going to do whatever I need to do. So I'm going to surrender myself to this process." And I mean, if I were you, I'd have a very cocky attitude.
No.
Really, because if I had,
Because I know just like the Joker said, I'm one bad day away from falling off completely and just saying fuck it, and I think that's for a lot of people.
Do you feel like you had a food addiction?
I think I had a problem addiction.
Okay.
Like I had issues that I just wouldn't resolve. I just didn't give. Like I was just like, no, that's not an issue. Don't worry about
Right.
that.
I mean, would
And
you cope with food?
I think.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Right.
It's like I didn't derive any sort of pleasure. Like it didn't make any of my issues go away.
Right.
It just gave me something to do with my hands and with my mind.
Right.
That's all it did.
Right.
That's all it did. If I would have been a heroin addict, I would have been the best fucking heroin addict there was.
Right. And
You
then
know?
that's why luckily I never got into drugs. The only drugs I've ever done is cannabis and hallucinogenics.
Yeah.
So that was it. I tried acid and it didn't even work. So I even got to do that. So it's been cannabis and weed. Cannabis and
Cannabis and weed.
cannabis and psychedelics. But what I found is that, like, with food at least, it was after I admitted to myself I was an emotional eater. After I admitted to myself I was an emotional eater, I was every time I was sad or anytime I got a result I didn't like, I immediately go to food. And then but once I didn't have appetite or the gastroparesis was too bad and I didn't have anything to hyper focus on or to replace that, I would go to other things that weren't as healthy, like what's not doing anything. Stagnation, learn from experience. Stagnation is the worst thing that can happen to you.
Yeah, I agree with that,
dude. When I think about the time that was wasted in the hospital of just sitting there and just living in this room with look, I didn't have a roommate, but living in this room with nurses coming in and out, I couldn't have really people. Everyone had to live their life. They couldn't stop their lives. So I was alone a lot, and it's real fucking depression sets in. But a lot of that time could have been utilized to better myself in ways that could have been beneficial. Luckily, I met the nurse that opened me up to. Just sorry about that.
That's all right.
Opened me up to one fucking one event that happened in China. That happened in China, and it completely led me into the rabbit hole of religion, spirituality, Eastern philosophy, Western philosophy, the difference between surrendering to what I thought was God and what God really means. I mean, a homeless man, it was Jackson. So Jackson Memorial Hospital in Miami, you don't have to have insurance to go there. So it is littered with homeless people, and there's a shelter down the street. So a lot at the time, they don't do it anymore because the cops came and kind of kicked everybody out. But all these people would just be hanging around. And I was walking around at night because I would sneak out and walk around the hospital at night, smoke cigarettes and all that shit. And there was this homeless man that came up to me, a young kid, and he started talking to me about spirituality, and I was all about synchronicity, and I was like, I'm learning about spirituality upstairs, and now I'm coming down and talking to him. And he told me, he goes, you know what God stands for? I'm like, no, what? He goes, good, orderly direction. And I took that, and it was a game changer. Once I took the idea of God, of being a person and a sky daddy just looking down on us, and then when he has to take a leak, it rains. You know what I mean? So like, and once I realized, like, it's not that there's a person in the sky staring down at you and watching you jerk off every time. You know what I mean? Like it's an idea. It's an energy. And when he said that, it was a
holy shit moment.
Exactly. It was just okay. And
I get this now.
It made so much sense. And from there on, researching the correlations between all these different religions, even like you said, the stories, they're very similar. Almost like they copied each other. It showed me that all these religions and all these writings is all from people. And you're not going to be able to experience, you'll never be able to relate to what they're saying unless you experience it. And however you have to get to that experience, you need to go, right? Like, for instance, and I'm talking about fucking psychedelics way too much, but go Oregon, fucking all drugs, bro. I want to do some fucking crap. But anyway, there's a show on CBS. It's called Evil. I just started watching it. I only agreed to watching it with my friend because she has terrible taste. For instance, she made me watch Pretty Little Liars, which is fucking awesome, by the way. I hate to say it's so good. But
so is her taste really that bad?
It's terrible. She wants to watch Knock Knock with Keanu Reeves. I'm not fucking watching that. It's Keanu Reeves having a threesome. Okay. Like, I'm good. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, so hallucinogens. Where was I? I trailed way too off. Oh my!
You went off into the woods a little too far.
I did. Fuck me. Don't do drugs, kids. whatever the case may be, cheese. I don't eat it. I totally lost my train of thought. Sorry about that, man.
No, it's okay. But I mean, honestly, I think all of it comes down, and I think we very much agree to the fact that it's about 80% mental. And once you make your mind up, the game changer.
I think what we do in our life is we indoctrinate ourselves.
Yeah. I can't do this because I won't be able to do this because I'm too tall, I'm too short, I'm too fat, I'm too skinny.
Yep.
Whatever it is. Like, look, logically speaking, there's no reason why I should be able to be on the path that I am. A 36-year-old guy trying to get into a police academy.
Yeah.
You know?
Dude, what I love, and I think the only way I'm going to truly appreciate this is because of the hardships that I went through. Yeah. I love seeing when people just switch. Flip the script.
Switch, yeah.
There we go. They just flip the script on people, and you just don't expect it. And luckily, I think that being in bands, especially where you're around different people and a lot of people, and everyone's so different.
You gotta learn how to talk to everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
I suffered from social anxiety.
Yeah.
I was a complete introvert, and then I got in a band, and then I became very, very.
You're a extroverted introvert.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I saw that in myself and was able to really capitalize on it. And then not only did I gain skills from learning those skills from the band, but it took me to where I am today, and where it's again. When you're in a band, you hustle.
Yeah.
You fucking hustle. You talk to every single person. You network. I wouldn't know what networking was unless I was in this band. I would have never been able to get the jobs that I have today. I would never be able to sneak my way into the cannabis industry.
Which is crazy because, like you said, you came from literally like the edge of death.
Yes.
And now you're seeing where all these skills that you'd acquired over every job you've ever had, every career move you've made, every band you've been in, you've learned something that you can apply to your current situation, and probably you'll be a little bit ahead of everybody else.
I look at it like this. Even if I'm not ahead of anybody else, I will work more than anybody else.
Yeah, I will outwork you.
100%.
I used to be not that person at all. But I will do everything I fucking can.
Now, so do you think it's the result that you see every day that instills this in you?
I think so. I think that's part of it. I'm used to having the attention on me in a bad way, where I was the biggest person in the room, and there was no question. Any room I was going to walk into, I was the biggest person in the room.
Right.
Now I can blend in.
Oh God, that must be different.
To stand out, though, it has to be my personality that stands out.
Right. So now you're gonna stand out because of the person you are inside, not because of your outside appearance.
Yeah.
But listen, you're gonna stand out anywhere with a fucking beautiful hair. Just let you know. It's Silver Fox.
That is fucking funny.
It's Silver Fox, buddy. You're a beautiful man.
Thank you, man. Honestly, dude, this was a really good episode. Like, I knew we were gonna go longer.
Yeah, dude. I can go longer. Right?
Oh yeah, no, I know. I want to have you back.
Yeah, we're gonna have a part 2.
Yeah, that's definite. And if there's one thing that this reaffirms, I think on both of our perspectives, is, like I said, it's mental. And a lot of it's mental, but don't wait to get your mindset right before you act.
No, if I would suggest anything, I fell in love with Wayne Dyer before he passed away. I was supposed to see him the year he passed away in Orlando. But if you don't read into it too much, and you don't think all this whoop-de-woo whatever shit.
Yeah.
But if you just take the core of it, it is a game changer. So yeah, look into Wayne Dyer or Jocko too. Yeah. Obviously.
Jocko, David Goggins, and all that. But
Tim Eriks, I think.
Again, man, thank you so much.
I love you, Brock.
Love you
and
too,
best
brother.
of luck to you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for having me, man.
Absolutely,
I really
man.
appreciate it.
I will see you guys all later, and don't forget, always find your why. Peace!